Hey, 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 Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, Pajama Grandma here. We will get started in just a minute or two. Let a couple of people get on the line and we will get started right away in helping you kill your chronic pain and take back your life. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and pop over to our presentation notes because it's a lot more fun to be able to see what we're doing than just listening to me talk. Hope everybody's doing awesome today. Oop, I hit the wrong button. That never happens. It happens to me all the time. I like to blame the chronic pain, but I think it is just operator error. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. We're going to see how to kill chronic pain's death grip on you without depending on doctors, insurance or pharmaceutical companies, or the government. I'm also going to share the weird secret that allowed me to kick chronic pain to the curb in less than 30 days. I did this just last year, and how you can ethically knock it off and get your life back too. Would that be helpful to you? I want to make a quick disclaimer as we get started. You're not going to be pain-free overnight, especially if you don't do anything. At first, I just wanted to get some pain relief and to be able to get out of bed and leave the house. I wanted to get my life back. I wanted to finish school, get a job, have a relationship and a family someday. I got all that and way, way more. I am currently living the Pajama Grandma life, and I'll explain to you what that is because it's really important to me that you know that you can create any type life that you want and you can get back to living the life that you deserve, not the one that you feel like you're just stuck living because of the pain that you have to endure on a daily basis. But this hasn't just worked for me. Julie was one of the first chronic pain sufferers that I shared painkillers with, and here's what she had to say. In just a week, I was able to get out of bed and go to work helping my sister in her food business. I never would have thought I could stand on hard tile for 8 minutes, much less 8 hours. Thank you, painkillers, for giving me my life back. Julie Rose. So as we get started, I would like to ask that you promise me that you use the things I share with you today just to make your life awesome, to make your life better. Because some of the things I'm going to teach you could be used to hurt other people or hurt other businesses. You know, maybe things and people that you think have harmed you or not necessarily treated you the best in the past. But I'm all about karma and making sure that we do what's right for us and we can all get what we want without ever having to harm another human being or another person. There's plenty to go around in this world and in this universe. So if a couple of you could just comment in the comments box that you promise that you will just use what I teach you to help make your life awesome and not hurt anybody else, that would put my conscience at ease, and I don't have any problem sharing all the goods with you. So who on earth is this for? Well, if you have chronic pain, then this is definitely for you. If you don't have chronic pain, but you think you may in the future, right now over 1.5 billion, that's billion with a B, people suffer from chronic pain. And that number is continuing to grow. It's growing every day because of the things in our environment, the things in our diet, the things around us, the things and the pressure that we're all put under, all contribute to our experiences of chronic pain. And those things aren't going away anytime soon. And really, if you know anyone who has chronic pain, you owe it to them and you owe it to yourself to get this information so that you can get it in their hands so that they can kill their chronic pain and take back their life. So it's for you too then. It's really secretly for everybody. So what the heck is painkillers and do I need it for my life? Here's a couple of pictures of me. The one on the left is actually a reenactment. It's not when it really happened, but I had a sudden cardiac arrest about 7.5 years ago now and died. That's right where I died. Obviously, it didn't stick. I was fortunate enough that the bartender in our bar and restaurant he knew CPR, so he was able to help to resuscitate me while the emergency vehicles came and jump-started me with the defibrillator from the police car. It turns out that I had a sudden cardiac arrest. And then the one on the right is, and of course, that's just part of my story. And the one on the right is me last Halloween. I dressed up as like Glenda the Good Witch or a fairy godmother because I have been so blessed in my life. I wanted to grant people's wishes and do what I could for other people. And I do that, I'd like to think I do that all the time, but I definitely was doing it on that day. I was helping people and granting their wishes, and it was really a fun day. So it really boils down to, do you want to kill your chronic pain? Do you want to start living the life of your dreams and take back your life? If you do, you need a painkillers. If you don't, if you want to keep suffering And I know if you're on this call, you probably are suffering from chronic pain. So my goal for this web class is to show you that the only way for you to get your life back is through killing your chronic pain. And the only way to kill your chronic pain is through painkillers. Just for staying to the end, I want to offer everybody a little gift. And actually, it's a really killer gift. It's called Painkillerz Energy Shot. And I guarantee that it will help you to reduce your chronic pain. I'd like to ask that you pay attention. I know that we're all so inundated with information and it's so hard to devote our attention to any one thing. But, you know, put your phone in the other room. I actually remembered to put my phone in the other room. I'm pretty excited because sometimes I forget and then it goes off like right in the middle of the webinar, which is super annoying, right? So give multitasking a rest. I like to think I'm the queen of multitasking. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma. I like to think I can do it all. But the truth is, if I want to understand something, I have got to focus on it. I have to give it my undivided attention. So I would like to ask you to give yourself the gift of paying attention. I promise I won't talk too long. If I get a little carried away with my story, somebody can reel me in and I will get through it as quickly as I possibly can. So who the heck am I and why should you listen to me? My name is Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. I know, one of those terrible hyphenated names, and I talk really fast. But I've spent the past 37 plus years, it's more than 37 years now, thriving, not suffering, but thriving in spite of chronic pain and illness. I started out with chronic illness, and that, of course, turned to chronic pain. And I would like to say that it's disappeared from my life, but chronic pain and chronic illness has been a part of my life the whole time. It's been a part of my life. It didn't disappear, but it's definitely a very minor part of my life. I like to equate it to our computer programs. We all know, or our cell phones. On our cell phones, we have apps. We have the major operating system app that runs everything. That's how I like to see my whole being and my life. And then we have minor apps, like maybe you have Facebook Messenger or something. And now some people would argue that Facebook Messenger is, you know, an all-encompassing app, but I will contend that it's just a minor app. I like to look at my chronic pain as if it's a minor app running in my life, but not controlling my life like the operating system does. So I've been dealing with that for 37 years, and you'll hear a couple of my experiences as we go through this little training for you. But I just want you to know I am and have been where you might be right now. Wherever you are right now in your chronic pain journey, I have been there. I've gone through many of the same things. I know each of our chronic pain journeys is entirely unique and different. And I'm not negating that. I'm just saying I know what you feel like. I've been there. I also am living in a household with 3 other people who are in the various stages of dealing with chronic pain and in their journey with chronic pain. My son, my daughter, and my son-in-law they're all experiencing chronic pain, and all from different sources right now. My son was in a car accident. My daughter was hurt in an athletic accident, and my son-in-law was hurt at work. He had a beam dropped on his shoulders and on his neck. And it's been different amounts of time for each of them, and they're each in different stages of, I like to call it the chronic pain journey. I know that maybe doesn't feel like a journey. Sometimes it just feels like a miserable terrorist attack or something, but it really is a journey. I've had amazing coaches and mentors over the last 40 years. I'm 58 years old and proud to say that. And because of that death experience picture I showed you a minute ago, I am really, really proud to say that I'm 58 years old. Because for all intents and purposes, I should not be here talking to you right now. I shouldn't be here talking to you today, except I have a message. I have something to share with you that is so important. I think that's part of why I am still here. But I've had lots of coaches and mentors, and that's what helped me to come up with this and help me formulate and be able to share this information with you. I figured out I'm an engineer and math nerd sort of by training. And I actually calculated this out and figured out that I've spent at least, because I'm always doing it, 19,347 hours studying chronic pain, experimenting on myself, and discovering what works versus what's complete and utter BS when it comes to how we deal with chronic pain and chronic illness in this country and in this world, actually. So I want to tell you a little bit about my background and what happened and how I began my journey with chronic pain and why chronic pain keeps popping up in my life as something I need to be a part of the solution for. I've been a businesswoman I've had my own businesses. I started my first business when I was 13, and I worked in corporate America for 25 years. So you're probably thinking, what the heck does a businesswoman know about chronic pain? Well, I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of people that know me up until now don't even know that I have had chronic pain and chronic illness. For all of my corporate career, no one in corporate America knew that I had any chronic illnesses or chronic pain. I hid it really well. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. We do a really good job hiding how we're really feeling from other people. And we shouldn't have to do that. But we've almost all of us found that it's a lot easier to say you're fine and fake it and pretend that everything's okay than it is to really try to get people that have never had chronic pain to understand or even have a clue of what we're going through. They can't. They haven't experienced it. So my sister and I was in college when I first got sick. And I had actually, I didn't remember, but I'd been sick when I was a kid, but I just ignored it and I didn't pay any attention to it because I always went to the doctor and, I'd get some penicillin and I'd be fine. I had like recurring tonsillitis and laryngitis. So for a lot of years, I still talk a little weird, but for a lot of years, I was really not conscientious. I was really conscious of the fact that I talked like a rusty gate hinge. My singing voice still is so ridiculous that my children and my granddaughter, all three of them, as soon as they could reach their hand up to cover my mouth, if I was singing to them, they would cover my mouth so I wouldn't sing. Now, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right. Was never going to be a rock star, right? But when I was going to college, my sister and I, for some reason, we went to the same college and we decided that one summer, I think we decided on the drive home that we were just going to not get summer jobs because we didn't have anything lined up that summer. And we were going to lay by the pool and just, relax and enjoy our probably my last summer of freedom. And then her, just a summer off between school. We'd always worked really hard. We were a hardworking family as kids. So we had saved a lot of money. I'd saved a lot of money over the years working my summer jobs at 3M. I'd worked at my summer jobs at 3M because we live in Wisconsin in a border town that was close to the Twin Cities where 3M is headquartered. And 3M, if you don't know, is Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. Well, my dad had other ideas. He decided that, we were pretty blatant about that we weren't going to do anything for the summer. So he came home on a Friday afternoon at the beginning of the summer and said, "Girls, pack up your mom's car. You're reporting to work in Valley, Nebraska." So we complained to my mom a little bit, which got us nowhere. And we packed up my mom's car and we drove to Valley, Nebraska and started work second shift on that next Monday then. And we had an awesome summer. It was probably one of the best summers of our lives. It was such a fun adventure to have to go out, find a place to live, meet new people and just, start new jobs. But toward the end of the summer, I got sick. All of a sudden I couldn't see. I was having, joint and inflamed joints and achy pains throughout my body. And I was having kidney problems. So I went to the doctor there and they immediately put me in the hospital and started running tests and procedures and all kinds of things on me to try to get me stabilized because I was sort of a hot mess. And after a week and a half, they released me from the hospital, but I couldn't go back to work. And I went home. My sister and I moved back home to Wisconsin, and she went off to college with all of our friends. And I couldn't go because I was sick and I was getting sicker by the day. I got to the point where I was bedridden, and the only time I really got out of bed was to go for tests. My parents and some friends would help me to actually get to the doctor. I needed help even just getting to the doctor. And that pretty much became my life for about 3.5 years. I was, I don't know. It's hard to explain. And actually I have done a lot of work blocking out a lot of that time because it was really hard for me to face up to after the fact. But I was a drugged up mess. I had no friends. I had no life. I was, blind for the most part. I could see a little bit out of my right eye, but I would get this, they didn't really know what it was, but I think later they discovered it's like inflammation in my eyes. there's not really a name for, I guess, iritis, uveitis, and a whole bunch of other disorders that, who cares about the big long name? The fact was I couldn't see. So I couldn't read. I couldn't really do anything. And I would get really, really bad migraines. So I would spend, 3 to 7 days in a totally quiet, dark room. I couldn't stand any of my senses were on like supercharged whenever I had a migraine. And I spent days on end like that and pretty much only got out of the house to go to the doctor. And after 3.5 years of this, doing different drugs, doing different tests, being poked and prodded and having tests not once, but repeatedly. And some of these tests are unpleasant. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of these tests, the things they test you for, the test itself is almost worse than what you're feeling for pain in your body. Ask anybody who's had radio frequency, and they know what I'm talking about. So I was going through this, and it seems like one of the interesting things back then, and I think it's still true today, is when you have things that are going wrong with you in different parts of your body, different bodily functions, like my eyes, I had to see eye specialists for. My kidneys, I had to see nephrologists for. Arthritis, I had to see rheumatologists for. And then I had to see a whole other slew of doctors to rule out all these other terrible diseases and cancers and things with long names I can't even pronounce that they wanted to make sure that they could rule out and say that I didn't have. And my body was definitely showing all of these symptoms. I mean, my joints were like bright red and they were hot to the touch and inflamed. I mean, I had forgotten about it, but when I was doing I was having eye surgery at Mayo Clinic, my sister and I went down, and the rheumatologist I was seeing actually went back and got my handwritten records from the records office in Mayo and was reading from them. And it reminded me of things that I had totally forgotten about and blocked out, about all the times that I'd had my knees and my hips and my shoulders and my elbows and my ankles. I'd had fluid removed from them to try to relieve the pressure and relieve the hot burning sensation of whatever the heck was going on in my body, because they never did figure it out. And all of these different functions within about a 1 to 2 month period, they all told me that they were out of tests. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And, that I would just go home and do the best I can, continue to take the drugs they had me on. And they would see me, in 3 months or 6 months or whatever it was for the different specialties. I mean, the eye doctor I was going to 3-4 days a week for sometimes when my eyes were really bad and inflamed. I was getting shots in my eyes of steroids and drops, every 15 minutes. And I was putting like 4 different drops in my eyes every 15 minutes. It was not much of a life. But they all told me simultaneously, hey, we're done. We're really sorry, but we've run out of things that we can try on you. So, good luck. And I didn't really feel very good about that. I actually was really devastated because I had, up until this point, I had put all of my faith and trust in the medical profession. I had put all of my faith and trust in these doctors and specialists. I grew up, when I was a kid, I had tonsillitis. So I would hurt. I would go to the doctor. The doctor would look at my throat. He'd say, yep, you have tonsillitis. He would give me antibiotics. In 10 to 14 days, I would be good again. And I would go about my business. I would go back to playing and being my normal childhood self. Well, this was really different because not only I couldn't do anything, but they took away all hope that I had of being okay in the future. And to a 23-year-old, that was absolutely devastating. Psychologically, I was wrecked, and I was more than wrecked. I was, I'm sure suicidal. I try not to think about that now. And I have since taken the word depression out of my vocabulary. I don't get depressed. Depression is not an option for me. Thank you, Tony Robbins, for helping coach me through how to do that. But I was beyond despondent. I didn't know what to do. And I remember I had another really bad migraine. I had like a 7-day migraine again. And I came out of that and I was laying in my bed. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was just laying there, in the dark because I couldn't see much anyway. And I was just laying in my bed and I was thinking, what gives? Is this really all I can expect? And I remembered something that my dad taught me. My parents, through all this, they were so awesome. I know that had they not been there for me, I don't know how I would have ever made it through any of this experience. But they were always terrific. And I remembered that my dad had taught, I have 3 sisters, so there were 5 girls in my family and my dad. And so when we were little girls, he taught us how to make decisions, and he taught us there's no such thing as can't. But he taught us a little decision-making tool that I renamed when I went to corporate America, the PSDM system. And I did that so I could teach it to the people that worked for me in corporate America, and they didn't think it was like a remedial little thing. But really, it's a remedial little thing that my dad taught me when I was a kid. And all you do is you take a piece of paper, you fold it in half, or you draw a line down the middle, you put a plus on one side, a minus on the other, and then for extra credit, you can write across the top the decision you have to make, or the problem you're trying to solve, or the dilemma you've got, however you want to look at it. And you write that on the top, and you just start brainstorming all the reasons to do something or all the reasons not to do something. So as I'm laying there, I started going through this exercise in my head because I needed something to think about that could maybe give me hope. So, of course, on one side was my life as it currently was. Bedridden. I mean, I couldn't do squat. I was drugged up, but I still hurt like heck. Can anybody relate to that? I mean, you're on the strongest medications that the doctors have to give you, but you're still in such a level of pain that it's almost unbelievable. People that have never had chronic pain, they don't understand that you can be at an 8, 9, or 10 all the time. They don't get it. They don't understand how we don't die because they've never experienced it. It is incredible how powerful and how strong we are as human beings and how much we can actually take and tolerate that other people couldn't even imagine. I was only getting out of the house, like I said, for tests and for doctor appointments. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't seeing anybody. I wasn't seeing any friends. I wasn't doing anything fun. And for the most part, I wasn't even, I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't read. I wasn't really getting any good outside stimulation. My life was like a black hole. And I felt like I was sinking faster and faster into just nothingness. I was barely surviving. I don't know if any of you have ever had that feeling, but I was hopeless. I was lonely. I was scared. I was depressed, and I didn't think I had any future. The doctors had me convinced that I really didn't have much of a future. So as I'm laying there, I'm thinking of all this stacked on the negative side, and I'm thinking, well, what the heck is there to balance this out? What else is possible? And just asking what else is possible, I don't know where it came from, but what popped into my head, and I'm going to swear, so cover your ears if you don't like swearing, but all of a sudden, fuck no popped into my head. And I wasn't really into swearing that much back then because I didn't have the energy to swear. But that popped into my head with just this burst of energy that I didn't know existed in me. And that began my journey for answers to reclaim my life. And 37 years later, with some bumps in the road, and I've had some big bumps, not going to lie, I have had an absolutely marvelous, awesome, I'm so grateful for the life and the experiences I have had and continue to have because my life isn't over yet. Like I said, I'm 58, but I'm only 58. Sometimes I think it feels really old, but other times I'm like, I feel like I'm 23 inside. Do any of you feel like that? You got to a certain age and you really feel like that's the age you've always been stuck at. Now, I don't feel like my 23-year-old bedridden self. I feel like a 23-year-old energized, perfectly healthy self the vast majority of the time. So I knew what I had to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to do something. I knew that I had to create my own health solution. I had to become my own greatest science experiment. I was studying science in school. I was used to chem labs. I was used to biology labs. I was used to physics labs. And I didn't understand why I didn't think of it sooner. Why didn't I think about testing and using things on myself to figure out what would make me better? I'd been in like 100 hours of labs at the college level. Why did that just escape my awareness? Because I was so mired in the experience of the chronic pain and the chronic illness and being sick all the time. I wasn't open to it. I didn't even realize that I could be my own science experiment. But I started looking for anything and everything I could find that might make me feel better. Now, I'm going to admit something, and I don't recommend it for anybody. The next morning, I quit taking all of my medications cold turkey. I just stopped taking them. Now, I wasn't on some of the things that you're probably on today, because the drugs that they used back then in 1983 were very different than the drugs they use in 2018. And I want to say thank goodness, because I probably could have killed myself by taking myself off my drugs cold turkey. I'll admit I tried that with my Metropolo for my heart. I've got an internal cardiac device. I went off it for a year. I did the cold turkey thing again. Not a good strategy with certain medications. I ended up, my blood pressure went like through the roof. I'm a little woman, and my blood pressure was like 152, 158 over 100 and something, 120 or something, which I don't know if you know about blood pressure, but that's really, really bad blood pressure, especially for somebody who's like 5'1", 5'1.5", I say, because I need that extra half an inch. But so I don't recommend that, but I did do that. And what happened for me was within a day or two, it was like my life opened up, and the clouds and the pain, some of it actually started to dissipate. I started to feel better, and every day that I felt a little bit better gave me renewed hope and renewed energy to actually put forth to test something else on myself. And what I discovered for me personally, it might not be true for you because we're all different, was that the side effects from the medications that I was on were actually making me worse. They were making me like bedridden, dramatically worse, because within about a few months of being off of the medications that I was on, I was actually able to go back to college. Now, I had a handicap sticker, and I had a hard time walking, because this didn't just happen overnight for me, you guys. I had been bedridden for years, and my body had to really get back to work healing itself. But I had to be off those medications so that my body could heal itself, because it was so confused and it was so busy trying to deal with the medication overload that I was on, that it couldn't even get to healing itself, because it couldn't get through all the work it had to do just to deal with the hot mess that everything else had created in my body. So it was kind of like this perfect storm of everything. And by not having the medications, that gave my body a little bit of a break so that it could have a little bit left over to start healing itself. But the secret to having all of this happen for me was taking back my personal power. It was me. I don't know. And like I said, I don't know where it came from. I like to think divine intervention or the universe or something. And back then I would have said it was angels or a gift from God. But something happened that made me crack open to the possibility that there was some other way I could be living. And I'm actually here. My mission now is to be that something for you, so that you realize that there is hope for you. There is something that will help you, but you have to be open to the possibility. So the problem I had back then was I didn't have any idea how or what to do. I mean, I just took a leap of faith and stopped taking my medication, and that happened to work for me, which I guess is pretty fortunate. Back then, 1981, 1983, guys, there was no internet. I know it's hard to fathom that there was no internet, but there wasn't. There weren't any resources. I was just considered a sick kid, and nobody really wanted to tell me anything because it was none of my business. The medical profession is very, very protective and secretive of all knowledge and all wisdom. Now, that's changed a lot in 2018. We've gone the other way. Now there's access to almost too much information and so much conflicting information that can be overwhelming as well. But in all my searching and all my research, and I did a lot of it, what my real discovery was, my real aha, was that no one but me was really interested in my perfect health, my health, or my future. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but no one outside of us really understands what's going on in us. And this is true of every human being, not just us when we have chronic pain. We cannot possibly understand, because we're not in the skin or the head or the mind or the subconscious of any other human being. And, you know, my parents loved me and did everything they possibly could for me, but they couldn't fix me. My doctors were wonderful professionals, and I was unfairly expecting them to fix me, but they can't. They can't know what is wrong with us. Only we know what is going on inside our bodies, and only our bodies can heal themselves. Even if you get a surgery or some medical procedure that helps your body along, and a lot of times we need that, it's still our body that heals itself. It isn't the surgery that heals it. It's our body that heals. The surgery might just help something along, but it is our body. Our bodies are miraculous, and we need to give them more credit and love on them some more so that they will heal us and make us better. Okay, that was a little bit of a rant, sorry. But my secret plan began, I just began saying, I'm going to figure this out. And I decided that nothing was impossible. I researched and I studied and I kept trying things. And I adopted the philosophy that anything is possible for me now. If I could start feeling a little bit better, then I knew I could feel a lot better. And I knew I could take back my life. And I love this quote by Audrey Hepburn that says, nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I am possible. And I had that hanging on my wall. I had it hanging on my bathroom mirror. I had it written in my notebooks when I finally could go back to school. And, because of the love and support of my parents, I was able to actually undertake this journey and get better. Like I said, I don't know what I would have done without them. My dad has since passed away, and I miss him every day, just saying. But what's possible now? What have I been able to do with my life because of this? Well, I've had several businesses. Like I said, I've been in a lot of different businesses. I spent 25 years in corporate America, which for me was really fantastic. I had a lot of different jobs, but I loved being a corporate quality executive. It was so cool because I could stick my nose in everybody's business and bring them all together. And that was really fun for me. Although I didn't get to spend enough time with my kids. I have 2 beautiful children. And had I not said F no that day and decided that something else was possible for me, I never would have had those beautiful children. I never would have this home, the cabin, the cars, the life, the businesses that I've started, the other people's lives that I've impacted. None of that would have happened if I hadn't gotten better. And if I hadn't decided that I could get better and that I deserved to get better, and no matter what, come hell or high water, I was going to figure it out and I was going to get better. But the best part of all of that is that I got to take care and be the primary caregiver for my beautiful granddaughter the first year of her life while running an Italian food manufacturing business. How many of you would be able to do that right now? How many of you would be able to take care of a little baby or a toddler and run an Italian food manufacturing business, or run a business on this, and do both of those things at the same time in the condition that you're in right now? I guarantee in the condition I was in when I was bedridden, that would never have happened. So after 35 plus years, I discovered the hard way. I discovered the hard way how to kill my chronic pain and take back my life. And it was a hard fought journey. And if you've been struggling, if you are struggling, if you are still in chronic pain, then this is probably why. Maybe you're like me and you put all of your faith and trust and belief in the medical profession. Now, I get that. I get that we do that. I did that too. But I just had an experience with my daughter. I took my daughter to a back surgeon last week, and we went to the appointment, and the back surgeon basically looked at her MRIs. She had had 2 MRIs, and he looked at him and he said, I can't help you. You don't need surgery. I can't help you. And she was really, really upset and devastated by that, because I guess I didn't do a very good job training her on how to overcome and how to deal with her doctors and understand that they are only able to provide the service that they've been trained for. They can only give you what they know. It's like if you have a toolbox and you need a screwdriver, but the only thing in there is hammers. It's pretty hard to screw in a screw with a hammer, right? Well, a surgeon can only do what he does. He can only do what he's trained for. So he's going to look at your information, and if he can perform surgery because that will help you, then he's going to do that, and he'll talk to you about that. But if you need anything else, especially when it comes to chronic pain, which she's discovering, he can't help you. He or she can't help you. They can't help you because they don't have anything in their toolkit to help you. They don't have any other tools that they can use. Their only tool is surgery. And if surgery doesn't work for you, then you have to go find someone else that's got a different tool that might help you. And so that's an experience that we had just last week. And I had to spend about a day or two working with her to help her understand what I just explained to you. And she's been around me her entire life. So, I get it. I get that we all do that. I mean, and I'm going to share a little bit later a story with you that I went to the doctor last year, but I didn't expect them to fix me because I knew that they could only do what they could do. And I'll tell you what I did about that, and you can too. But I went to work when I made the decision and stopped taking my drugs and my brain started to clear a little bit. I went in earnest looking for answers to figure out what was going on with me. I figured, okay, maybe the doctors can't figure this out because they each have their little specialty, but I can figure it out. I was an investigative reporter in high school before I decided I was going to go into engineering and other fields of study in college. I actually ended up graduating with 3 degrees, which is ridiculous. But I had a goal that I wanted to own my own manufacturing business someday. And once I got healthy again, I went back at that goal and that objective with a vengeance. I was going to make sure that I made that happen in my lifetime. So I was good at research and studying and getting information out of people. I interviewed experts. I called doctors. I called specialists. I called associations that were designed to help us with different functions of our body. I stuck my nose in everybody's business. And I think that helped me when I did graduate from college to get, I got the best job when I graduated from the University of Minnesota. Statistically, I got the best job for any woman at the time who had graduated from the University of Minnesota, which I guess is a cool thing. I think it's kind of cool. I thought it was cool at the time. But then I went and made toilet paper. So how cool is that, right? Toilet paper, how funny is that? But I was good at the research and figuring things out and creating systems that would work for me and trying things and experimenting and documenting the process. And all of that served me really well throughout this journey. It served me really well. But what I discovered is that with chronic pain, and it's still true to today, which is really scary, there is no protocol. There is no, like with every other area of medicine, if I had a sudden cardiac arrest. With my sudden cardiac arrest, everybody that has a sudden cardiac arrest and actually survives that event goes through a certain series of, or certain steps and processes to deal with that event or that illness. Anybody with cancer, based on the stage of their cancer, my sister had really bad form of leukemia, but for her specific form of leukemia, there was a very detailed series of steps and things that she had to do. It was like a 3-year process and she had the actual curable kind to cure her leukemia. And now she is cancer free and she is cured of that. Now she still has remnants of that, like chemo brain and things, but she doesn't have to worry about that cancer coming back because they had such a well-defined protocol for that. They knew that they could fix it and cure her. There is no protocol for those of us that have chronic pain. Chronic pain stems and is associated with so many different illnesses, so many different diseases, so many different causes that the medical profession cannot see. They cannot diagnose. And if they cannot diagnose it, they cannot prescribe. The only thing the medical profession does is they diagnose and they prescribe. So both the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry, that's their limitation. If the pharmaceutical industry doesn't have a drug that they can sell you to mask or fix it, they can't help you. If the doctor doesn't have a medicine or a procedure that he can prescribe after he's diagnosed, he can't fix you. If he can't diagnose in the first place, he or she cannot fix you. It's impossible. They can't do it. It's not that they don't want to. Many of them die a little bit inside every time they see one of us that they can't help because they're good-hearted people. I mean, people go into medicine because they want to help other people. And when they can't do it because it's not in their toolbox, to a lot of them, it's very devastating. And some of them will go into other areas and look for other solutions, and they'll become practitioners in some of the things I'm going to share with you because they know about and they understand this limitation of the medical profession. But what happens in that instance when there is no protocol for chronic pain, that means there's nobody responsible for it. Back when I got sick, there's no multidisciplinary group that deals with chronic pain. It's kind of like in corporate America. What I found in corporate America, when I was back in corporate America, how it was set up in most organizations, and that's, I'm sure, changed nowadays because businesses have had to grow and evolve and change. But back then, I worked for some really big companies. And what would happen? Quality was about the processes and the procedures and continuous improvement and the way we did everything in the organization. So that meant I was like the go-between for all the different functions. And my job was to bring them all together so that they could function more efficiently. Well, in big corporations like Procter & Gamble and the old Gillette and other big companies that I work with, so names I probably shouldn't say, they had what I called the silo system. And I know there were probably a couple of us in quality that coined that phrase, because what would happen is in each different function, say purchasing, manufacturing and maintenance had a little bit closer relationship on a lower level. But for the most part, every different area of the organization, nobody cross-communicated between departments until you got up to the vice president level. Well, that meant if purchasing wanted to put in a new procedure, the vice presidents would have to discuss it, and they would have to go up the silo in one and all the way down in another. It was really a bad way to run a business. And I'm sure there's still some, I don't want to say this, but I'm sure there's some big corporations that still operate like that, but not if I worked in them, because that is craziness. Well, the same thing is true in the medical profession and in medicine, and not even in medicine, just with the whole topic of chronic pain. No one's responsible because it's complicated and it happens to involve so many different things, and actually now so many people. And that has not helped to alleviate the problem. We just pass the buck and, you know, break people's hearts and tell them we can't help them. And then we leave them hanging because they don't know what to do unless they, you know, unless we pick it up ourselves and take responsibility for figuring out what else to do. A lot of us are just left like I was, stranded and hanging and hopeless and in pain and agony, thinking that there's nothing that we can do. I actually did a little analysis to figure out, well, how much have I spent working on this and studying this the hard way? And I've spent nearly $1 million over the last 37 years investigating and looking into chronic pain and ways to deal with chronic pain, ways that work, ways that don't work, and experimenting on myself. Also, you need to keep in mind that insurance companies, big pharma, pharmacists, which I consider pharmacists part of big pharma, government agencies, as much as we think they're supposed to help us, you know, Social Security and disability is supposed to be there for us when we're injured and hurt, right? Well, not so much. They all have their own agendas and their own politics. They have their own reason for existing. And to be blatantly honest, and really, I hate to be the bearer of bad news if you've never heard this or thought about this, because guess what? I didn't think about it when I was bedridden. I thought my insurance company was supposed to help me get better because I thought that was in their best interest too, and in my best interest, but it's not. Their best interest is to make as much profits as they can and dole out as little money as they can. So they say no to everything, right? Have you ever experienced this? Has your insurance company or your pharmacist or Social Security or disability ever told you no? Go ahead and comment in the box, you guys, because I really want to know. I would actually love to hear if anyone has gone to Social Security through that process or disability and gotten a yes the first time that they tried. I would love to hear that, because no one I've worked with so far, and I've worked with thousands of people on this, has actually made it through either one of those systems the first time and gotten a yes. I'm just curious. Maybe there's a state that's more user-friendly than my state, because my state just plain sucks when it comes to disability and Social Security. So that's the hard way, right? And bottom line is, I had to figure it out myself. I had to figure out all of this myself because there was nobody that was going to do it for me. I'm also going to build for one lucky chronic pain sufferer. Her name is Sarah, and she already submitted her information, and we've had a couple of phone calls to discuss the details of her personalized painkillers protocol. And I'm going to share that with you in about 15 minutes on the call. But first, I want to share with you the 3 secrets of painkillers. Secret number 1, painkillers protocol, how to sever or kill chronic pain's death grip on your life in as little as 7 minutes a day without breaking a sweat. I'm all about not sweating. Secret number 2, painkillers emergency prescription, how to use painkillers to kick your chronic pain to the curb in 30 days or less, even if the experts said it can't be done. And secret number 3, painkillers assassinations, how to get the exact same doctors, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies who are currently only out for themselves to give you what you need to kill your chronic pain. Secret number one, let's jump right into this. How to sever chronic pain's death grip on your life in as little as 7 minutes a day without breaking a sweat. If you want to achieve success, all you need to do is find a way to model those who've already succeeded. When I was in that hospital for the first time in Valley, Nebraska, that was the first time I'd ever been in a hospital, by the way. Talk about scary. I was states away from home. My sister and my friends were working second shift, so a couple days a week they came and saw me in the morning, but they couldn't get there every day because they had to work. It was really scary and lonely, especially when I had no idea what was going on with me. But I did have late night infomercials where I was introduced to Tony Robbins. I also got to watch Princess Di and Prince Charles's wedding on television. That was like the highlight of my hospital stay. I didn't have any tests during that time, so I got to watch the whole thing. Woohoo, right? But I learned from Tony Robbins, and I continued to study Tony Robbins over the last 40 years. I actually saw him again live in March of this year, which was fantastic. It always is. It's always great to see Tony. He just has this incredible way with people and helping us to know that we can believe in ourselves and that other things are possible. But I was introduced to Tony, and the biggest thing I've learned, probably, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest, is that if you want to succeed in any area of your life, you have to find people that are succeeding and doing what you want and then model them. Not necessarily copy them, but you have to model what they're doing that works. And over about the last 7 to 10 years, that's how I've come up with this process that I call Painkillers Booster. And Painkillers Booster is a 7-step process that I use first thing in the morning, every single morning. I use this religiously every morning. I go through this process. Now I can shorten it down because I've done it so many times, and I can actually get this down to like 30 seconds. I have used this in corporate America to save me. And the process is a little bit different now because I've continued to refine it over the years, but I used it in corporate America. I've used it in my businesses a lot because I was in some businesses that were really soul sucking. And there were times when I would get off the phone and I would have to run through this procedure just to calm myself down because I had been dealing with somebody that was just so ridiculous that I couldn't believe that they were even another human being. Has that ever happened to you? Somebody said something to you that was so outrageous and so ridiculous that you just wanted to, kick them in the throat, but you knew you couldn't do that because you're already hurt and there's no way you would be able to kick them in the throat, but you just kind of wanted to because it was so ridiculous. Almost all of us with chronic pain have had somebody that's done or said something stupid to us that you're just like, really? Really? You think that's okay to say? I lost count of how many times people have told me, silly things, and even doctors and nurses, people that we totally expect to know better. Oh my God, some nurses, and that's because they've never had chronic pain. Again, I'm ranting, but this procedure, this morning routine has saved me and really been so beneficial. I guarantee that if you commit to doing this every morning, it will massively change your experience with chronic pain and your ability to get out of bed. So what the heck is this magic procedure, you say? Well, it's a 7-step process that begins with breathing. Almost everything begins with our breath. We got to breathe. We got to get oxygen to our cells or our body can't function. If our cells don't get enough oxygen, things shut down and die. Cells die if they don't get oxygen. So we need to make sure we're really breathing. Now, have you ever noticed that when you hurt really bad, have you noticed your breathing? I want you to start paying attention to your breathing. And when you're having a really bad peak in your pain, I want you to just stop and notice your breathing while you're in that pain point. What's your breathing like? It's usually pretty shallow, maybe fast, maybe it's really, I want to say pained because you'll know what I'm talking about. It's hard to breathe. It's almost impossible to take a deep breath. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm going to do when my alarm clock goes off or Alexa tells me to wake up, I say, Alexa, alarm clock off. Sometimes I tell her to shut up, but not usually. I'm usually in a good mood when I wake up because I'm just so freaking happy and grateful to be awake, right? So I'm going to focus on my breathing. Tony Robbins, Garrett White, every health guru on the planet just about has their own go-to breathing strategy. And this year I recently learned one from Dean Graziosi in his book, and he did a 30-day challenge, which I love challenges. I participated in that. And he does what I call a 4x4 breathing technique. And it's become my new favorite because the first day I tried it, I really felt a change in me. And whenever I feel a positive change in me, I adopt that, and that becomes my new go-to until I try or do something else that produces a positive change in me. And that's my continual improving health process. That's my personal mode of operation. So I love his 4x4 breathing technique. So since that's my favorite, that's the one I'm going to share with you right now. All it is you inhale through your nose for a count of 4. You hold it for a count of 4, and you exhale through your mouth for a count of 4, and you hold that for a count of 4, and then you repeat the process. You're going to repeat this for about a minute. And I've learned personally that if I'm laying down in my bed still, if I do this breathing, this 4x4 breathing more than 7 times, I fall asleep again. Now, I tricked myself for a while, and I would have Alexa wake me up in 10 minutes, but I decided that sometimes it's just better to get up and sit in my comfy chair and run through my 7 steps. So sometimes I do that. Just being forewarned in case this happens to you. So breathe in for 4 through your nose. Hold it for a count of 4. Exhale through your mouth for a count of 4. Rest for a count of 4, and then repeat. And you'll do that for a minute. And what that does, I think that the counting makes you focus on your breathing and the present moment so that you really make yourself take a nice deep breath. So you really exhale it. Now, you might be asking, how fast do I count? However fast feels right for you. When I first started, I probably counted faster than I do now. But when I'm really trying to relax and get a lot of oxygen in my body and my cells, I slow down. And so my count of 4 is longer than it is sometimes. I talk really fast. So if I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a lot faster than 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever works for you. If you're feeling winded, then you're holding your breath too long, right? You have to always pay attention to your body. Step number 2, I think about what I want and why I want it. I spend a minute thinking about only what I want, not what I don't want, what I want. So do I think about chronic pain for a second of that 60 seconds or that minute? Absolutely not. I think about wanting perfect health. I always want perfect health. I want to be able to play with my grandchild effortlessly. I want whatever it is I want, and then why do I want it? And why do I ask myself, why do I want it? You know, I could say I want $1 million because then I could get all the pain treatments that I need. Or I want $1 million so I could travel. And again, that's part of the why, so I could travel. But why do I want to travel? Why do I want all the pain treatments I could get? Well, because I want perfect health. I want a perfectly healthy, normal body and an awesome life. And I want to drill that down with my whys till I get to the emotions that it evokes, because I want to be thinking about what I want and why I want it on an emotional level. I want it so that I can spend more time with my family, so I can do things with my family that I have to say no to now because of my pain. I want perfect health because, and for me, it pretty much always boils down to because I want to feel loved and connected. And I want to be, almost everything that I want boils down to love and connection and contribution. But whatever it is for you. So for a full minute, I think about step 2, what I want and why I want it. Step 3, I call my rampage of gratitude. For 1 minute, I think about absolutely everything I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I woke up in the morning. I'm grateful for my magnifying glass because I still have eye challenges. But with my magnifying glass, guess what? It's hard, but I'm still getting stuff done. I'm grateful for my coffee once I get up in the morning and have my bulletproof coffee. I am grateful for my family, my kids, my grandbaby. I just run through and I feel the feelings of being thankful and grateful for all the things. I'll let you know a secret. One of the things I'm most grateful for is my cozy bed. I love my cozy bed, especially on those cold winter nights. I love to just hunker down in the soft, cozy covers. Whatever it is for you, spend a minute thinking about what you're grateful for. I will tell you, one of the secrets to any kind of success or to getting anything you want is being grateful for what you have already. And when we have chronic pain, that breaks through everything. And we spend so much time focusing on what we don't want, focusing on what we don't have, focusing on what we can't do anymore, missing and yearning for the things that we used to do so easily that are virtually impossible or impossible for us to do right now, that we forget to be grateful for the things that are working in our life. And if you only do one thing of the 7 steps that I'm sharing with you today, I am going to recommend that you do this gratitude, do this rampage of gratitude. And if you decide that that's all you're going to do, start with that. Be grateful. Think about the things you're grateful for. And then don't just do this in the morning. Do this a couple times throughout the day. Do this before you go to bed at night and see what kind of a difference it makes in your life. Step 4, I want to focus on the present moment. I want to focus on the now. I don't know why I have these pictures in here. I keep meaning to change them out, but the 5 main motivators of why we do anything and why we make a decision or a choice to do anything are to make money, save time, avoid pain. That's usually our biggest motivator, right? And to gain pleasure. We will do way more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. I know that we've all experienced this. How many of you have said no to something that you really wanted to do and would be fun, but you knew that if you did it, you were going to be paying for it, and you just couldn't stand the thought of the pain that you were going to have if you participated in that? How many of you have said no to friends and not gone out for dinner or not gone out and had a drink? How many of you couldn't make it to your kid's birthday party or Christmas or any other holiday because you knew you'd have to pay for it? I used to pass on things all the time with my family. My husband's very active and my kids were super active as kids, and we would go camping, which, you know, it took a lot for me to go camping. We had a nice camper and everything and a motorhome, but it was still really hard on me. And they would go for hikes and they would go see the beautiful scenery wherever we went. And I had to pass. I had to stay back in the camper and miss out on that because I knew that if I went on that hike, I wasn't going to be able to get out of bed the next day to do anything with the kids for the rest of the trip, and it would have ruined the whole trip. So how many of you have had to pass on something like that? Well, so you know what I'm talking about. But for the next minute, all I want you to do is focus on the present moment. And here's how I do that. If you need a little help doing that, number 1, you can focus on your breathing. You can repeat a word in your mind, a really kind of nonsense word like love, 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 om, 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 and just focus on that word. And whenever your mind wanders, bring yourself back to that. Or what I like to do is I like to actually tune in and feel different parts of my body. So if I'm sitting in my comfy chair, I'll actually notice how the chair feels underneath my derriere. I will notice how it feels against my back. I will notice how my arms are feeling. I will notice how the air feels on my skin. Is it warm? Is it cold? I'll notice if there's any smells in the air right now. And I tune in to exactly how I'm feeling right that minute, only in that minute, not how I felt in the past, not how I think I'm afraid I might feel in the future, but right now in the present moment. That is step 4. Step 5, I visualize my day as if I'm going through it and it's the perfect day in my life. I visualize it with all of my senses. So sight, sound, hearing, taste, smell, touch. I use all of my senses. And I actually use something and do a trick that my friend Jim Edwards taught me. He calls it a power vision movie. I visualize as if I am in the movie of the life of my perfect day, so that I'm actually experiencing and feeling the feelings that I would feel along with all of the other senses, because that takes the visualization to a whole new level that is so much more powerful than just traditional visualization. You know, I see a picture in my mind and yeah, maybe that evokes emotion, but it usually doesn't. This is a way to really tap into and evoke your emotions to make your visualization so much more powerful. Now, I'm not visualizing me struggling through my day. I am visualizing my perfect, ideal day and me going through it effortlessly. That means I am in perfect health. I might be in a wheelchair right now and that's the only way I can get around. But when I'm visualizing my perfect day, guess what? I am running up a hill. I am wading through a stream. I am doing whatever it is for me that would be my perfect day. I'm interacting and I'm experiencing the love from the people I love and care about. I'm feeling them hug me. I'm smelling, well, I'm usually smelling caramel, but probably my grandma's cookies or something, whatever it is for you. And it's really fun because if you're having a bad time or a bad day, you can just instantly call upon this visualization by putting yourself in there. And that is really powerful, especially when you're dealing with a really, really tough spike in your pain or breakthrough pain. Step 6 is all about action. And what am I going to do today? And I used to be that person that had the 400 item to-do list. Now that puts a lot of pressure on you because guess what? Even in my super good days, I could never get, even 10 things done in a day, much less 400. So to have a to-do list like that was really stressful and overwhelming. And I've got a business coach right now and basically talked to me. And it's not the first time I've heard this message. She said, listen, you get one thing. There's one main thing that you're going to do every day, and you're going to focus on that one thing. So when you're thinking about what you need to do every day, you pick the one thing, and that's your primary thing. Once you get that one thing done for the day, you can do something else. But until you get that one thing done and you give it all your focus, you don't get to look at it or do really anything else. Now, of course, like all human beings, I tweak this and mess with it a little. But as part of step 6, I pick what is my one thing going to be for the day. So for example, this week, I'm doing this webinar. So today, my one thing might be this webinar. It doesn't happen to be because I had a coaching call earlier today. So my coaching call was my one thing. And then I got that done. So I thought, I'm going to hop on the line and I'm going to do my webinar because I need to reach more people and help them to kill their chronic pain. That will be my second one thing. But in the morning, when I'm going through my steps, I pick what is the one thing that's my primary focus. If I had a doctor appointment or a procedure today, that would be my one thing because I want to take all of me and all my focus into making sure that that is the most successful doctor appointment or procedure that I can possibly have. Because we all know nothing is more important than our health. Nothing. And unfortunately, we take it for granted until we lose it. And when we lose it, it F's up everything in our life. Nothing in our life is as it was before we had chronic pain. So nothing is more important for us than dealing with this and killing our chronic pain. Would you agree? Let's jump to step 7. Step 7 is all about forgiveness and blessing. And I probably could have made this 8 steps, but I can only remember 7. So I kept it at 7. And I get a lot of argument when I'm dealing and teaching people this one-on-one, and not a lot of argument, but a lot of resistance to this particular step. And I find that it's because I originally had the most resistance to this. And it wasn't because I had a problem forgiving other people. It's because I had a problem forgiving myself. Somehow, at some strange, messed up level, I felt like I deserved what was happening to me. I felt at some level, I didn't know why, but I felt that I didn't deserve to have perfect health, or that there was something wrong with me and that I didn't deserve forgiveness. But once I was able to forgive myself for, number 1, not knowing anything before I knew it. Number 2, getting involved in situations that I didn't know were going to turn out badly. I thought that I was making the best decision at the time or doing and saying the right thing at the time, but maybe I wasn't. And so I had to learn to forgive other people because a lot of times they don't even know that they've hurt us. And then to forgive myself for getting upset over people hurting me or letting people hurt me or whatever else. But my biggest lesson learned with all of this forgiveness thing has been to forgive myself. And I still have to forgive myself some days because I'll have some stinking thinking or some bad limiting beliefs that sneak into my life and my behavior. And I get doubts and fears and worries just like everybody else sometimes. And then I have to forgive myself for letting those limiting beliefs and thoughts sneak into my life. And usually it's that I dwelled on them longer than I feel like I should have. I'm getting better and better and faster at kicking those to the curb, but it doesn't always happen. Sometimes, like everybody else, I have to wallow in self-pity. If I'm having a bad day or if somebody hurt my feelings, sometimes I just got to feel bad a minute about it and get it out of my system. And the last thing I like to do, because I kind of believe in karma, since I'm still sitting here today, I got to believe that there's some universal laws and stuff going on in the universe that I don't understand. And so I like to send out a blessing of love and light to all living things on the universe. And that might be way too woo-woo for all of you. And if it is, forget about it. But it's just like sending a prayer to everybody because there's so many people hurting in the universe. And a lot of people won't receive it. But I know that I can still send it out. And the people that need it and are able to receive it, they'll get it. And I know I studied a lot of woo-woo stuff after my cardiac arrest, so it might be like choo, 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 way above a lot of your heads, and that's okay. But I just think it's important to put good things out there because that's how we get good things back in our lives. So that is the 7-step process of how you use the chronic pain Killerz booster first thing in the morning or whenever you need it throughout the day. Here is Virginia's experience with the pain Killerz booster. I spent years thinking there was nothing I could do about my chronic back pain. I felt like I had tried everything. But then Sharon shared her painkillers booster with me. In just a few minutes a day, I began noticing changes. I didn't want to scream all the time. Ginny Johnson. So who does this work for? Well, chronic pain sufferers, anybody that's suffering from chronic pain, this will help you. Anybody that has chronic illness, usually has chronic pain, this will work for you. If you've been involved in an accident, hurt on the job, anybody in chronic pain, which is defined as the medical industry as 3+ months or more of continuous pain that they haven't been able to get rid of, that's considered chronic pain. So if I break my leg and I have to get a cast and I have pain for a couple of months, but it's less than 3 months to heal my leg and the pain is gone, then I just had acute pain. I just had short-term pain. I didn't have chronic pain. But over 3 months, we all know that. We're all listening. It's chronic pain. Let's sneak a drink of coffee. I'm talking too much. It tickles my throat. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The things I'm teaching you in that 7-minute process and procedure, that works for anybody to improve their life and help them be successful and get what they want, not just if we have chronic pain. I just use it to kill my chronic pain because that has always been the screaming signal for me. When I have pain, and people, I don't know if you know it or not, but pain is a symptom. It's a sign that there's something wrong in our bodies and in our life. And when it's manifesting or showing up as pain, that means there's something we got to find. We got to figure it out. And if the doctors can't figure it out, who's going to figure it out if we don't? Nobody. I don't mean to sound so urgent about it, but guess what? Nobody's going to. Your significant other isn't going to. Your kids aren't going to. Your doctor, your friends, nobody's going to figure it out for you. It's got to be you. And I know that's a lot of responsibility, and it's called personal responsibility. And some of you are probably hanging up on me right now, but I don't want you to think that there's some magic cure out there, or there's some silver bullet that's going to fix this for you. It's going to be up to you. And it might be as simple for you as deciding that it's possible. That is the hardest thing that you have to do, is be open to thinking that something else is possible for you in your life. So who wants to know my favorite place to find the best chronic pain killing strategies? Anybody? Well, the internet and social media has changed absolutely everything when it comes to killing chronic pain and taking back your life. I cannot tell you, and I'm going to tell you a story with secret number 2 about what happened to me last year that allowed me to go from like 3.5, it was actually 5 years that I took me to get through this process the first time. And it's gotten progressively quicker. Up to last year, it only took me about a month to figure out what I needed to do it and to be functional again and to be able to actually get back into my life again. That's incredible. 5 years to less than 30 days or 30 days. But as powerful as Google and YouTube are, I contend that you can learn how to do anything you want. Maybe not brain surgery, but there's probably brain surgery videos on YouTube. You can find out and learn how to do anything you want on YouTube or on the internet. You can get the equivalent of a rocket scientist's degree, a doctorate, anything you want online. You can create any result. You can find out how to do anything you want, good or bad. It's one of those good and evil things, good or bad. You can find it on the internet. I just learned there's something called the dark web that I never knew anything about, but I guess there's even more super secret information and stuff you can get at. I don't know. I still don't know what it is. I've never been on it, but I heard that there's this dark web thing. So anyway, as much as I love those things, and you can find from all the traditional ways of finding information, I actually, when I first started looking into this, I had to go to the library. There's a library in St. Paul, Minnesota called the Hill Reference Library. And I had to have my mom actually take me to that library because that was the only place that had any access to any type of medical information at all, was that one library. And I was really happy that had it, because otherwise I would have had no access to any of this. Remember, no internet. But I read books, I interviewed people, I went anywhere I could to find information that would help me with my health. But my favorite spyglass, my favorite place to find information about what would or wouldn't work was in me. And your best place to find out what's going on and what's going to work for you is right inside your own body. And there's ways for our body to tell us that. Because guess what? A lot of the times, our body's been screaming at us for years. My body was screaming at me for years, and I wasn't listening. It wasn't breaking through my ego and my subconscious. But our subconscious mind, it runs everything, right? Do you think about your heart beating? Do you think about breathing? Do you think about sneezing? Our body, do you think about thinking? No, it just happens automatically because our body and our subconscious mind are running everything, right? So how do we tap into that? Well, we tap into that because there are ways, scientific ways to understand what our body is telling us. And there's a whole bunch of them. So inside of you is the best place to get the information you need. So your chronic painkillers booster, what are you going to do? I'm going to challenge you right now, everybody listening, whether you listen to the rest of this or not, I'm going to challenge you for the next 7 days to do the painkillers booster, at least once a day. If you forget to do it in the morning, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what time of day you do it. But for 7 days, I'm going to challenge you to do the 7 steps. And if it doesn't work, you message me. I'll leave my message or my contact information at the end. You message me directly and I will send you a free gift because I know it will work for you. I have yet to send a free gift of all the thousands of people I've made that offer to. I have yet to send a free gift to anyone because it works. I know it works. Excuse me. I did have a cold and laryngitis this morning because I did 2 webinars yesterday. I had some technical difficulties, so I did 2 webinars and my voice was just shot, and I'm still having remnants of that today. The more I talk, the more scratchy my throat gets. So excuse me, I don't mean to cough at you. So that's secret number 1, how to sever chronic pain's death grip on your life in as little as 7 minutes a day without breaking a sweat. Let me ask you, did anybody sweat while we were doing that process? That's assuming you did it with me. Well, try it tomorrow morning, and I guarantee you're not going to sweat doing it. So now you know how to do it. You know how to do it, right? And now you have this as a tool in your toolkit for dealing with your pain. Try it when you get some breakthrough pain, because we all have breakthrough pain, even if we're on medications to manage and stabilize our pain, and we're down to, like, say, a 6 or 7 as our normal level. We still have points that break through to a 10. I hate the 1 through 10 scale for pain. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't think that works for chronic pain patients. I think that is the scale for acute pain, but it's not the scale for those of us that have chronic pain. That it's so ludicrous that there's no way to describe that on a 10-point scale. Just my opinion. You can go ahead and type pain scale into the box too if you think that the pain scale is ridiculous and that it doesn't clearly at all indicate how you feel about your pain. So let's dive into secret number 2, painkillers prescription. How to use painkillers to kick your chronic pain to the curb in 30 days or less, even if the experts said it can't be done. Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier that last year I had a really bad flare in symptoms that I hadn't had for, pretty much decades. I have had things in my arthritis. Finally, by the time I was in my late 20s, my arthritis type symptoms, my eyes continued to act up, and I actually am blind in my left eye, and I continued to have some kidney issues until, I'll tell you about that too, until I had kidney surgery. I had kidney issues. But the arthritis symptoms, after I made a lot of changes in my lifestyle and in what I was doing, the arthritis symptoms kind of went into remission, and I didn't really have much trouble with my arthritis until last year. Last year, actually exactly right at this time of year, about a couple weeks ago this time of year, I was walking at the state park because following my sudden cardiac arrest, I made myself exercise every day. I've learned with me, I have to keep everything moving. I have to keep my joints moving. I have to keep my body moving. I have to do something every day if I'm going to be able to move and function every day. That's what works for me. So I was out at the state park. It was spring, and I totally ate shit. Meaning I fell down, I wiped out in the middle of a trail. So I'm laying on the ground and I'm like, I'm like kind of dazed. I'm like, well, what the heck happened? How am I laying on the ground? Kind of started to get up, brushed myself off, realized my right knee's bleeding because it was all skinned. I fell down just a little hill. It was really embarrassing. I thank goodness that there was no one around to, like, see it or film it, because I'm sure it would have been on YouTube and it would have just been ridiculous. But I got up, and just from the time it took me to get up, my my left foot was so swollen because I'd obviously sprained my ankle. I didn't think it was broken because I could tap on my toe to get back to my car. And thank goodness I was close to the beginning of my walk. I made it back to my car, but my ankle was toast. I had to ice it and elevate it for days. And of course, I never went to the doctor for it because I knew I could heal myself. So my ankle started to get a little better, but I missed a couple of days of exercise. And I felt a little guilty because I'd exercised every day for like 7+ years at that point. But I knew that sometimes you just got to listen to your body, and that I was going to have to give on the exercise for a little. Well, at that same time, I already had a trip planned. I was going to Boise, Idaho for a certification because I love learning and I was learning new skills, and I needed to go to get certified in this new technology that I was super excited about. And that was already scheduled, so I was going to go there. And then I had tagged on a weekend trip to see my daughter and son-in-law in Colorado because they lived in Colorado then. And I went on the trip, and I was really actually on the mend. I was getting better and I was doing good. And I exercised while I was there. I just walked on the treadmill because we didn't really have much time off during the training. And then when I got to Colorado, I don't know what happened, if it was from the flights or what, but I just had a massive onset of pain and sharp shooting pains through my hips. I could not, I mean, I did it, but it was like excruciating. I don't think I slept the whole time I was there. I tossed and turned, and maybe I got a little bit of sleep, but no matter what I was doing, whether I was walking, standing, sitting, anything, my hips were just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And I didn't have anything to take for it. So I just was kind of suffering through it while I visited the kids, got through the visit, and I kept telling myself, it's just the altitude. Colorado's different than home. So I'll get home and I'll be fine. I remember sitting at the airport in the seat, and I was trying to be, subtle about it and wiping tears off my cheeks, but there were freaking tears rolling out of my eyes because it hurt so bad to sit there and wait for the plane. And I thought I was hiding it pretty good, but when we were waiting at baggage claim, a girl asked if she could pray over me. And so obviously I wasn't doing as good a job as I thought I was hiding it. So I got home and I got to bed. I don't know how, but I did. And I thought, it'll be fine. I'm going to sleep on it. And, tomorrow I'll wake up and boom, I'll be fine. I'll be to my old self again because I'm back home. I'm in my own bed. I'm at the right altitude. Everything will be fine. Well, the next morning I woke up and I went to stand up and I wiped out and luckily I fell on my bed. But I couldn't walk. I couldn't even make it to the bathroom. Every time I tried to put any weight on either of my feet, I had like a lightning bolt going through my entire body from, the bottom of my feet up through my head, like out to the universe. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? So fortunately, I keep a computer by my bed, and I got online and Googled and Yahooed and Quora questions, and everywhere I could look, I tried to figure out what the heck was going on with me, that I had this massive onset. And I knew it was inflammation because I know what inflammation feels like, but I didn't know what the heck was causing it or where it had come from. Because to me, it felt like it had just come out of the blue. Because one day I'm in Boise, Idaho, and I'm fine going through the certification process. And the next morning, I'm flying to Colorado. And then somehow, after I got off that flight, it started out a little slowly, but by that first night in Colorado, wham, I was freaking hurting. And now I've had kidney stones, a giant kidney stone for a long time. And I've had 2 kids. And I've had chronic pain. So it's not like I don't know what hurts feels like or what pain feels like and don't have a good tolerance of pain. I like to think I have a freaking amazing tolerance for pain. But this was bad. So I kept researching, kept looking for things and trying to figure out what was going on. And after a week of this, not being able to get to the bathroom and thinking I'm going to have to wear Depends, and the kids really worried about me and having my mother-in-law and everybody come check on me, I finally decided I was going to have to go to the doctor because, what I was doing, I had already been doing for 7 years, the things that I thought were really good and healthy for me, and I was still doing them, but there was something that had just gone haywire in my body, and I didn't understand or know what it was. And so, of course, my first line of defense is go to the doctor and get some tests and see if they can figure out something that's changed massively in my body. Well, I went to the doctor I love my doctor. I love my GP. She's absolutely marvelous. She ran some tests. You know, she could visually see that there was a lot going on with me. I could barely walk to get into her office. And she ran the inflammation tests and did some x-rays, gave me some steroids, and, you know, said, we'll just, yeah, I'll have the test by tomorrow. We'll see what's going on. I'll look at your x-rays today and we'll see what's going on. And then I'll call and I'll let you know what our next steps are. So I went home, went back to bed because that's pretty much all I could do. And I kind of waited for her call. Well, she called me a couple hours later and she said, yeah, we got some problems here. Your inflammation markers are unbelievable. And she named the test, and I tried to go online today and print them out, but I couldn't remember my password. So I'm gonna have to look that up and get those, because I thought that might be helpful. Then I kind of thought, you know, do you guys really want to see or know my actual numbers of what's going on in my body? It's really kind of none of anybody's business, but it doesn't matter. I will get them when I figure it out. One marker was 5 times higher than it was supposed to be. Not 5 points higher than the normal range. It was 5 times higher than the normal range was supposed to be. Another one was 7 times higher than what the normal amount was supposed to be. And then one was like only 2 or 3 times higher. But those 3 things were really alarming to her. And so she had already called rheumatology and said, hey, you need to get this woman in right away. I don't know what's going on with her, but these are the markers. You know, what can you do? And they called me the next day and said, the next available appointment is in 97 days. And I kind of started to freak out in my mind, because I'm laying there and I'm thinking, okay, 97 days. Are you freaking kidding me? I live in Wisconsin. We only get 3 months of winter. We only get 3 months of summer, and I'm going to miss the whole thing being stuck in bed. I live to go to this state park. You can see me in a picture in here. I live to go to that state park every day and enjoy the beauty and nature and the relaxing and calming effect that has on me and my body and my spirit and my soul. And so to not be able to do that for 3 months, I was kind of freaking out. And so I actually was scared to do this, but I got out my cell phone and I made a Facebook Live, and it was really a plea, and I'm sure it's still out there somewhere. I haven't gone back to look at it because it worked. I got some information and some help, but I basically made a plea saying, listen, this is what's going on with me. I really am having a hard time. I need help, and I can't get into the doctor for, 3 months. Does anybody I know anything or know anybody that might be able to give me some advice or direction on what I can do while I'm waiting to get in to see the specialist and the rheumatologist? And my very dear friend, I call her an angel because she totally is an angel, Cheryl, contacted me. We'd known each other for about 8 years at that time. And she contacted me and she said, Sharon, I know you might not remember, but I'm a nurse and I do all these other different types of healing and energy work and nutrition, and I think I can help you. And since then, we've probably spent 80 or more hours on the phone talking and dealing with my specific situation and trying to figure out what was going on in my body. And one of the things that she told me about was eating for your blood type. I had never heard of eating for your blood type. It was totally new for me, and it wasn't anything that I had uncovered in my other studies, because keep in mind, for the last 7 years, I've been focused on things that were for heart health, because what was wrong with me is I had a sudden cardiac arrest. So I was always looking for and doing things that were good for my heart and that would make sure my heart stayed healthy and that my box would never go off again. My box has only gone off once, and that was because I was trying to run, which is my aversion to sweating and running. You will never catch me running unless there's a bear chasing me. Even if this bear is chasing me, I'm not running. Because I set my box off when I was running. I was trying to do an exercise class and keep up with everybody else, the young people. And so I did something called an Indian sprint. And that was just enough to get my box and my heart going too fast. And it set my box off twice. And so that's bad. I will tell you, if you have an ICD, you might know what I'm talking about. But they warn you that it's like getting kicked in the chest by a donkey. And I will tell you, it's like getting kicked in the chest by a donkey or a horse. It only from the inside out. It's like the weirdest thing. Now, I was lucky enough that I was walking down a hill when it happened. So I was really proud that I didn't fall down. But I'll tell you, that was something else. And I don't want it to ever go off again. So I actually went to the doctor and got it turned up so that there's a less likely chance of it going off again. But I'm not running anytime soon to try to test it or find out. But anyway, Cheryl told me about eating for your blood type. So we went through the process, which was quite a detailed process, by the way. I had to order a blood kit on Amazon and do what I call vampire testing and figure out what my blood type was. Because you'd think that your blood type would be at the top of your medical charts, but it's not. I think it's probably because it's so easy to test for. They just do it in the hospital if you have an emergency. Plus, they would have to do it and verify that there wasn't something wrong with the record anyway if they're going to give you blood. So I don't know, but it's hard to come by if you don't happen to know it. So if you know your blood type, write it down and remember it. That's my key advice for something extra today to know. But anyway, eating for your blood type. It turns out that based on your blood type, there are foods that are really good for you that are called highly beneficial. There are foods that are neutral and our body treats them like food and fuel, just neutral. And there's foods that are bad for you and your body, they're the avoid list foods, and your body treats them like poison or toxins, like all the other toxins that are all around us every day. And it has to get rid of them. Well, what we discovered on me was that about 85% of what I was doing and consuming was on this avoid list. So apple cider vinegar, hot peppers, cayenne pepper, everything that was good for my heart was super bad for my blood type. So I haven't come to a 100% conclusion, but I'm pretty sure what happened to me was a perfect storm of all these things. Number one, my activity level had to change. Number two, my environment, the body, and the toxicity level inside of my body just reached an overflow point. And the sprained ankle, my body having to use energy to heal my ankle, all those things combined, and the flights in altitude and the change in environment and barometric pressure, all of those things combined to create a perfect storm that left me bedridden. Because once I heard this, I was like, well, I'm desperate. I will do anything. I'll do whatever it takes to try to feel better, right? I couldn't make it to the bathroom. I was getting Depends so that I wouldn't spoil all of my clothes and have to have all my underwear done by my mother-in-law, which would be really, really embarrassing because I wasn't doing any laundry then, right? So I told myself for 2 weeks, I'm just going to eat highly beneficial foods. I'm not even going to do the neutral ones. I'm sure going to take all the avoid ones out of my diet. And I am just going to eat the highly beneficial foods. And in a couple of days, I started to get relief. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that just changing what I was eating had that profound an effect on me. And it turns out that the rheumatologist called me and they had a cancellation. So they actually got me in right about the 30-day mark from the first time I'd had those tests. And I walked into the rheumatologist's office. I even wore my sandals, which have a little bit of a heel on them. Now, keep in mind, 3 weeks earlier, I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of bed to take a step to get to the bathroom, much less walk. And I walked into his office and he took a double take and he looked at me and he was surprised. He said, I would have thought you would have been in a wheelchair rolling in here because of your test results. And so then we talked for about half an hour and I told him about my history, what was going on, what I had been doing, because he wanted to know. He's like, what the heck is going on that you can walk in here with these numbers? And he ordered the same test again. We decided I wasn't going to take any medications because my first doctor had actually ordered the steroids for me and I didn't finish that story. I took the steroids the first day and I got about 2 hours of relief, which was great because I got to the bathroom. But after that, the pain came back at the same level it was before I had taken the steroids. The next morning, I took the steroid and I don't know what happened because I didn't think it was possible, but my pain was like 5 times worse than it had been. I couldn't stop crying. I didn't think I could handle it. And so I called the doctor and the nurse's office and she said, you need to stop taking that immediately. Obviously, your body is having a bad reaction to that. And she said, what'll happen is each time you take it, it will get progressively worse. And I was like already crying. I'm like, how can it get any worse? Because like I said, I think I have a really high threshold of pain and I couldn't handle it. I was just shaking. It was terrible. So I stopped taking the steroids and I didn't take any more medications after that. So really the only change I'd made was in my diet. And we talked through some of the medications and things that were available. But given my history and the problem I've had with side effects with other things, it didn't seem like the right way to go for me. So he ran the tests, he ran a bunch of tests again and then said, come back and see me, for your regular appointment. We'll go ahead and keep that appointment that you had scheduled and we'll see how you're doing. And if you're continuing to do well, then we'll keep just doing what you're doing. So he ran the tests again. And the cool thing about the internet and medical records now is you can actually access your own medical records before they even call you. So I went online and I looked at the numbers, and I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely freaking amazed, because the number that had been 5 times higher was in the normal range. The number that had been 7 times higher was in the normal range. The one that was like 2 or 3 times outside the normal range for inflammation markers, that one was a couple points too high still, but it was like only a couple points too high. It had gone from like, you know, double or triple what it was supposed to be down to just being a couple points out of the normal range. And that, to me, the reason I was so excited about that is because I knew how I was feeling in my body, but here was scientific documented proof of what I was feeling and the change that had been made by one thing that normally the doctors and the medical profession would say wasn't possible. They would say that just changing what you eat has no effect. Do you know it's illegal for a food to make a health claim or to say that it cures anything? It's illegal in this country for any food or anybody that sells a food to claim that it can cure anything or to make a health claim like that. I find that just unconscionable and amazing. I just learned that last week when I was interviewing someone for my podcast. I was like flabbergasted by that. So I've talked way too long about the hard way of figuring out how to deal with your chronic pain. And I want to jump in, and I'm going to do it really fast to talk about the new, better way that I found out. Because basically, I just kind of ran through the procedure and the process of coming up with my own protocol for you. And like I said, it took 5 years the first time, probably a little over 5 years. It took about 12 months, the second incident and the second big health thing I had. It took 6 months with my sudden cardiac arrest. And then this time last year, it was a month. It took me only a month to get back to living my life. So who else wants to know about the new, better way? I was going to do this for Sarah, but since we're short of time, I'm just going to go through a couple pieces of my personal chronic pain protocol, and I will have my assistant text her and let her know. The thing about your own personalized painkillers protocol is it is exactly that. It is just for you. It is very personal and very personalized. It includes all aspects of your life and just your life and your experiences with respect to your mind, your body, and your spirit or your soul, whatever you want to call that. We are multi-dimensional, multifunctional human beings. We're not just our physical body and what's going on in our body. And actually, what's going on in our physical body is kind of the last step in the process of how things show up. So when we have chronic pain and it's screaming because it's chronic, we got to figure out what's going on in our environment, in our body, in our mind, in our relationships, in the experiences we've had, and, you know, our every aspect of our life, because it all molds together to form our experience. And so our personalized chronic painkillers protocol encompasses all those things. And we come up with a very unique, very special plan just for you. Now, that's why you've got to be a part of the process, because like I said, your body is the indicator, and it tells us what's right for you. It tells you what's right for you. Cheryl actually taught me this. And one of the things we did is we went through all my different supplements and the things I was taking and all the foods that I was eating. And we asked my body if I should or shouldn't keep taking that. And I totally blew up all the supplements I was taking. And we started reintroducing them one at a time by testing me to find out what my body wanted. That is part of my personalized painkillers protocol. What my supplements are specific and unique to me. How much of each of them I take is specific and unique to me. For example, a nutritional specialist might say everybody needs 400 milligrams of magnesium twice a day. Or they might say that's a general guideline. But you might find out that you need 800 milligrams of magnesium twice a day because there's something going on in your body that needs more magnesium right now. And then when your body gets enough or it levels out, maybe then you only need 400 grams of magnesium. But we're not going to know that until we work with you specifically. My body needs, trying to think of an example of something that I'm doing right now. Well, my body needs to take my metoprolol. I tried not to, and it needs it because otherwise my blood pressure goes through the roof. So that's something that's specific to me. And what medications your body needs to take, That will be specific to you as well. What movement you can or cannot do. You'll start in one place and you'll work to other places based on what works for you and what your body needs. And the protocol breaks through what your mind and your ego and your subconscious might be saying you need. And it breaks through to the real you and says, yeah, this is what I really need. For example, I have an aversion to burpees. I have a mental block and I don't want to ever do burpees. Now, I did one burpee as a challenge, but I don't like doing burpees. I've got a lot of stuff going on in me and I don't want to do burpees. I don't run. My body says you don't run. Your body will tell you what you need to do or not do. So as far as activity goes, mine is I need to keep moving. I need to keep my body moving. And I at least walk every day. I have to walk every day. And I love to walk every day. I love my time in nature because it does things for me in a whole bunch of levels. It helps my mind. It helps my body. It helps my spirit. It helps the whole being of me to go out and walk in nature and enjoy the beautiful spring or the beautiful summer weather. So that's part of my chronic painkillers protocol. I actually call this, you guys, a perfect health protocol. I normally don't call it a painkillers protocol, but we want to kill our pain right now. When you're in chronic pain, all you can think about is killing your chronic pain. And that's why I start there. But we move you from a chronic painkillers protocol to, as you start to take your life back, a perfect health plan, because that's what you really need. We want perfect health. We don't want to kill our pain. We want to kill our pain right now more than we want perfect health. But the way to kill our chronic pain is to get perfect health. And perfect health is different for each one of us. We each need our own specialized, unique, totally customized plan for us. My protocol doesn't work for my son. My protocol doesn't work for my daughter. My protocol doesn't work for my son-in-law. Now, there might be some pieces that we have in common. I mean, we need to all eat healthy. We need to eat foods that are good for us. Now, in this group, this family group, we have different blood types. So certain things that are good for me aren't good for my daughter. Things that are good for my daughter, I can't eat. The biggest thing with that whole food thing for me was I always thought I was this great protein carnivore, and it turns out I'm not supposed to eat hardly any meats. So for like 3 months, I'll be honest, I didn't eat hardly anything but salmon, because salmon was the only thing on the beneficial list that I actually really liked. And so for 3 months straight, I ate salmon almost every single day because I was going to make sure I kicked my chronic pain to the curb and I got my life back. And I knew that I was just going to eat salmon. Now, since then, I've added chicken and some fish and some other things. And I did a couple other things, but when it was on the highly beneficial only list, all I ate was salmon. Salmon and the vegetables that were on my beneficial list, everything, because I credit that for 90% of getting me back to where I needed to be to reclaim my life. So that's just a tip of the iceberg from my personal chronic painkillers protocol. But for you, it would be unique and different and special for you. And this is Maureen's little story. She said, my doctor of 8 years informed me that due to the opioid crisis, he would no longer be able to continue treating me. He took early retirement and wished me good luck getting into a new pain clinic. He didn't even refer her to anyone else. I started having panic attacks from the stress. Then my cousin told me about painkillers. She had gotten hurt at work and referred to Sharon. So happy, back to myself again. Maureen Riley. So I just want to take a minute to tell you, you can do this. No matter what shape you're in, no matter what's going on in your life, you can do this. And if you're in such bad shape that you don't think you can do it right now, you've probably got someone helping you throughout your life and throughout your process. And that person can help you do this and get started down the road to creating your own personalized painkillers protocol. They can do it with you and for you. Now, again, I said your body is going to tell us what you need. And so someone else can do the actually writing down or whatever we're going to do for this. But you have to be the one that tells them what needs to be part of your plan and what can't be part of your plan yet, or what may never be part of your plan. So that's secret number 2, how to use painkillers to kick your chronic pain to the curb in 30 days or less, just like I did, even though the experts were flabbergasted and told me that it couldn't be done. So who here thinks painkillers is awesome? Besides my beautiful granddaughter, who I get to spend time with because I can pick her up and I can spend time with her because I have reclaimed my life. Does it still hurt sometimes? Yes. Do I still have pain? Yes. There's some days based on the weather in Wisconsin, my hips are killing me. But do they stop me? Absolutely not. They might slow me down some days, but they sure as heck don't stop me. And I want that for you. Now you know how you can use your own personalized painkillers protocol to kick your pain to the curb in as little as 30 days. Now, I don't want to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, I've got people that have had massive improvement in their pain in like 7 days. And they couldn't even believe it, like a week. And then I've had other people that it's taken months for. It depends where you're at. We're each different. And that's what makes the world a wonderful place, is that we are each different. Secret number 3, how to get the exact same doctors, insurance, and pharmaceutical companies who are currently only out for themselves to give you what you need to kill your chronic pain. I'm going to share a couple other people's stories because I think you've heard enough about my stories. And to be honest, early on in my medical trials and tribulations, I learned that if I got a bad feeling from a doctor, if I thought they thought I was crazy, or they didn't believe me, or they weren't listening to me, or they wanted to redo tests for the 4th time in their clinic because I'd already had them and I brought those records with me, but they just wanted to redo them in their lab, I said no, and I would see someone else. I learned that, and I took that personal power early on. Not the first 3.5 years of my life, of course, or my chronic pain life. If I was measuring my life in chronic pain years, but I certainly don't do that. But those first 3 years, I did that a little bit even then. But once I started moving on to get better myself, I totally was like, if I went to a doctor or a specialist and they gave me even an inkling that they had a superiority complex, and yeah, they have some specialized knowledge, but only in one area, I was out of there. So I want to share with you Bunny's story because it's really, really powerful one about insurance companies. Now, how many here have had a trial or a trouble or a struggle with their insurance company? Everybody in my household right now, except me, because my chronic pain, I don't use anything for that. I just take metoprolol, and that's just like a no-brainer drug. So my heart specialist doesn't have any problem prescribing that. And I monitor it all the time. Come on, I've got Big Brother watching my box all the time. But everybody I know just about has had something go on with their insurance company or their medication from the pharmacist's standpoint, in terms of just last week, my son-in-law, the pharmacist would only give him 180 pills for one of his prescriptions because the insurance company said that the cap was 180 for everybody. Well, the doctor prescribed 240. So who is the pharmacist to tell him that he can't have any? Now, I think that they have to let you buy the difference and pay for the difference. But in some instances, that can be hundreds or thousands of dollars. I mean, I know one of my son's prescriptions is $2,000 a month. I'm like, who's got that extra bank? I mean, even if you're a millionaire, you don't usually have an extra $2,000 that you're going to shell out for a medication a month, just one medication a month. That's most people's house payment, right? Or, you know, house and car payment. That's just craziness. So Bunny's story, before I ramble on some more, her son was born with a nerve missing from his face. And because he didn't have this nerve, he couldn't smile. And when he was a baby, you know, people noticed it, but it wasn't a big deal because he'd still smile with part of his face. But when he hit school, when he hit preschool and kindergarten and like 1st and 2nd grade, other people started to notice it and comment on it and avoid him because they thought he was grumpy or mean because he didn't smile. Well, he had learned at that young age to just not smile and just have a stoic look on his face, because he knew when he smiled, he'd figured out when he smiled. I mean, Bunny found him looking in the mirror one day and trying to smile, and it broke her heart because, you know, here's her beautiful little boy that is looking in the mirror because the kids were teasing him at school and he couldn't smile. And so other parents of his friends thought that he was grumpy, and so he didn't get invited to stuff. And the teachers marked him down in grades because, you know, teachers are awesome, but they're not always the smartest bulbs. And they judged him as being, you know, grumpy and antisocial because he didn't smile. And, you know, even other parents would comment to Bunny about how, you know, he seemed sad and stuff all the time. So Bunny went on a mission to find out what could be done and what was going on with her son and his face. And she's the one that discovered that he was born without this nerve, because they found it on what kind of scan they had, MRI or whatever they did on his little face. But they realized that this nerve was missing that makes, you know, pulls up in your cheek and makes you smile. And she researched and researched, and, you know, insurance paid for some of these tests that she had done to look and see, you know, what was going on and to find out what was going on. But when they found out what was going on, the insurance company said, well, you just need to go to these different plastic surgeons, which incidentally aren't covered by insurance, and see, they can just do plastic surgery on him. And Bunny researched and looked and found out and studied and, knew that no, there was no plastic surgeon that could do this. And she found one surgeon in the whole wide world that happened to be in Canada that actually performed this kind of surgery on children. And it was going to be 3 trips to Canada because they had to take a nerve out of his leg and put it in his face. And then it had to grow in. And then they had to do, it had to grow in so that they could then do 2 more surgeries on this. So, of course, insurance said, no, we're not paying for any of that. That's number 1, not in the country. Number 2, elective surgery. Number 3, yada, yada, yada. But what Bunny did is she went to work and she learned about the company's processes and procedures and their systems and their review processes and their appeal processes. And she went through and used every single one of them to make sure that her son would get his needs met. Now, it was down to the wire. It was the night before they were going for that surgery, and they had already decided that somehow they were going to pay for this surgery for their son. But the night before they left for Canada, the insurance company called her back and said, yes, we'll pay for the surgery. And it ended up being a good deal for them because it only cost like $40,000 because of the medical system in Canada. And that's all the insurance company had to pay for. But if they had just done one of the unsuccessful surgeries in the United States, look, with a plastic surgeon, it would have been at least $120,000. And I think her doing that research and presenting that to the insurance company helped to get it through the review process. But she learned that if you jump through their hoops, you can get your needs met. Yep, everybody isn't going to get their needs met, but you can get your needs met. See, the insurance companies are like a lot of big companies. They know statistically, and they count on the amount of people that will fall off and never try again because they say no. And sometimes people will come back once, but they know that then there's a whole bunch of more people that will fall off if they say no twice. And they just have this process and this procedure built into their systems of automatically saying no. A lot of big companies actually reward people for not giving refunds and for not helping people. So now we all think that our insurance companies are there to help us, right? And to help us get better. Not really. They're not really there for everybody to get their needs met. They're there to make money. They're there to make sure that the executives of their organization make big fat checks. I found out from my son's pain doctor that they're actually owned by a nonprofit organization who I will not name, but the CEO of that got like a $380 million bonus a couple years ago. Now tell me that's a nonprofit. Yeah, don't get me started. I better not go down that track. Now, you might be thinking that the government's better and that Social Security and disability, they're all about helping us when we have chronic pain and we can't work and we need help, right? Well, guess what? The government and the court system and disability and Social Security are as bad as insurance companies, if not worse. They also have a say no first policy and see who comes back, because they know that actually the majority of people, even though they're desperate and destitute and they have no other choice, they don't come back because they don't think that they can. They don't think they can afford a lawyer. They don't think they can get the help they need. They don't think it's possible. They don't think. And they've been led to believe by the insurance companies, by the government, by, some bad meaning but well-meaning specialists that tell them they have no hope, there's no prayer, there's no chance they're going to get Social Security, there's no chance they're going to get disability. And that's complete and utter nonsense and a lie. Even my friend Jackie was telling me the other day about a ticket she had gotten. She had spun out on black ice, and even though she didn't hit anything or go in the ditch or anything, the policeman that came to help turn her car around or get her going the right direction wrote her a ticket for reckless driving. And so she had to go to court and say, I wasn't reckless driving. This is what happened. I don't deserve a ticket. I'm not paying this fine. And she didn't have to go back once or twice. She had to go back to the court system 5 times before the judge finally dismissed the case and she didn't have to pay the ticket. How many people are going to go to court once? Not very many. They're just going to suck it up and pay the fine because they can't get off work or they can't get off school or they get sick and tired of trying to fight it. They just suck it up and they pay the court system, which the court system likes, right? Because they don't have to take up their time and energy. Plus, they got the money with not having to do anything but send out a letter or make a phone call. Lisa has a story about how many times she had to go to different pain clinics and pain doctors. Her doctor of like 15 years, he'd been treating her with the same protocol that kept her able to work and able to function and be the mom and grandma that she was. But her doctor moved to another state, and unfortunately, that left Lisa with no pain clinic. And she had to go to 5 different pain clinics before she could find a doctor that would do her same protocol. And that, I mean, because they're just scared of what's going on with the DEA and our government, because the government is going after the low-hanging fruit, which is the people that are not the problem, to try to solve this opioid crisis, which, you know, it's all about pharmaceutical companies and the drug dealers. It's not about chronic pain patients. People with chronic pain are not drug addicts. People with chronic pain are just looking for some relief to their suffering. It's another topic we better not get me started on. So getting what you need, even though others don't, and it breaks my heart that everybody doesn't get their needs met, but everybody isn't going to get their needs met. But that doesn't mean that you can't. So you can get your needs met from doctors, insurance companies, government, associations. I know we think those are all out for us too, but guess what? Not so much. I got a taste of this with the heart stuff. When I had my sudden cardiac arrest, I learned pretty quickly that the American Heart Association does not want to cure heart disease. Now, I'm going to probably get some hate mail for saying that, but guess what? The Cancer Society, they don't really want to cure cancer either, because what happens to them if cancer gets cured? They go away. They cease to exist. If heart disease goes away, what happens? The Heart Association is redundant, and there's no reason to have a heart association, right? And so what happens to all the people that are involved in that? No, it's easy. They can find something else to do because there's a lot of causes and a lot of things that need help. But guess what? Those organizations are just like all other organisms. They want to survive, right? And so they'll do whatever it takes, even if it's not consistent with their mission and purpose, to survive. And that means they're going to make decisions and choices that aren't necessarily in our individual best interest. You know, I was in the food industry for a lot of years, like 35 years, and I actually just sold my food business and got out of it because things that go on in the food industry would anger you and break your heart. And it broke my heart, and I knew I needed to move on to something different. Anyway, I now know things. I know what their systems are. I know what their system is. I know what their goals are. I know what processes they use, and I know how to get what I need and can help you get what you need from them as well. I know that if I model what works, knowledge is power. If I know how to get what you need, and if we use their procedures against them, you can watch your pain die and you thrive. When my doctor insisted I'd have to get insurance pre-approval for the radio frequency on my back, I didn't think anything of it. I had done 3 in the past year or so. When I called the pain clinic to schedule, they told me insurance wouldn't approve it and that they would need a $5,000 deposit in order to schedule it. What? Sharon's team showed me exactly what to do. I had the procedure last week and I'm feeling better. Lisa Mitchell. My son actually gets that. It's terrible. He had it twice last week. Unbelievable. But it does give him some pain relief. So as bad as it is, he's willing to go through the torture of the procedure because he knows he'll get a little bit of relief. That's how we pain patients are. We'll do anything to get some relief because we need a break from the pain. So you might be thinking, you know what? Big companies are scary. I can't go against big companies. My ex-husband was the king of this. He believed with all of his heart that if a big company said no to something and if that was their procedure or their process, then you just had to live with it, which, you know, was probably one of the reasons we're divorced, because I'm just the opposite. I'm like, just because they say so doesn't mean it's true. Just because they made a rule for it because it was handy for their company doesn't mean it's the only way for things to be done. It's kind of like that. And have you ever been in a job or know somebody that says that's the way we've always done it? Those are trigger words to me. As soon as somebody says that's the way we've always done it, I am all over that like white on rice saying, yeah, okay, that might be the way you did it in the past, but guess what? It's a whole new ball game. We're doing something different here now. We're going to do something that actually works and is effective. So to me, big companies aren't scary. I don't care how big your insurance company is. I don't care how big your pharmaceutical company is. I don't care how big your medical center is. If you need your needs met and they've got the wherewithal to do it, they're going to do it. We live in a really abundant universe. There is no shortage of medical procedures. There is no shortage of medicine. There is no shortage of anything that you need to kill your chronic pain. It's just a matter of realizing that there's plenty for you to get what you need. and that you will and can get what you need. And that's how you get the exact same doctors, insurance, and pharmaceutical companies who are currently only out for themselves to give you what you need to kill your chronic pain. So the 3 secrets again. Secret number 1, how to sever chronic pain's death grip on your life in as little as 7 minutes a day without breaking a sweat. Secret number 2, painkillers prescription, how to use painkillers to kick your chronic pain to the curb in 30 days or less, even if the expert said it can't be done. And secret number 3, how to get the exact same doctors, insurance, and pharmaceutical companies who are currently only out for themselves. We know that, right? I hope I didn't burst anybody's bubble on that, because I know I got some girls upset at the bar one time because I told them that reality TV was made up and scripted, and they were devastated. Anyway, to give you what you need to kill your chronic pain. So if I model what works, if I do what works best for me, what anybody else thinks becomes irrelevant. What a doctor or a nurse or a specialist or a friend or a family member or your mom or your significant other or your kids or the neighbor, what any of them says, it doesn't freaking matter, because you know what you're doing is what you got to do. How many of you have been made to feel wrong because you take an opioid drug for your chronic pain? I don't take one, but I would feel wronged if I did. I used to get heat for taking steroids, and I'm like, I thought I'd be dead without them. I need a cough drop. So let me ask you a question. We've gone through a lot, and I've talked a lot, and I talk pretty fast. I have created a way for you to get your own painkillers protocol. Is that something that you want to know about? If it is, could a couple of you, while I take a drink of water, comment in the comments box? And if it is, I will be glad to share it with you, because I know that you need this for your life to kill your chronic pain and take your life back. But I need you to know that you want to hear about it, or I need to know that you want to hear about it. We'll see if I can still keep talking with my scratchy throat. Scratchy throat and cloggy nose, but I took emergency this morning. I drank my lemon water. I've been drinking a lot of fluids and trying to make sure that I knock it out of my system, because I don't want a scratchy throat. I don't know. You might be able to tell I got a lot of energy. I don't have time for colds. They're annoying to me. So I got a few comments. So I'm going to share with you painkillers protocol. What the heck is painkillers protocol, and what are you going to get? Well, the first thing you're going to get is a 6-week painkillers protocol masterclass. And I'm actually going to go through this live with you. I've done it a couple of times, but I want to take another group through it just to kind of tweak it and continue to improve it and make it the best it can possibly be. But in it is everything you need to kill your chronic pain and reclaim the life that you have always imagined living, not just being normal. Every time I talk to somebody, everybody just wants to be normal. Have you ever gone on the pain groups on Facebook, or do you belong to any of the support groups or the message boards or anything online? I never belonged to them until last year. Last fall, I joined a couple because I thought, well, geez, I just got through this big ordeal. I wonder what other people are going through and what else has changed or hasn't changed in the industry. Or I guess I call the whole subject of chronic pain, I call it an industry, because it is an industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar or trillion-dollar industry. How scary is that? But I started going in them, and it broke my heart how many people are believing that how they are right now is unbearable, and they have no hope that it's going to get any better. And they actually believe that they are destined to have it get worse. Maybe you believe that. I used to believe it. I believed it when the doctors first told me that they couldn't do anything for me. If there had been the internet and message boards and things back then, I would have been right on them, right alongside everybody else, believing that was true. But that really upset me and broke my heart. And it breaks my heart every time I read somebody's post like that. I actually have to limit my time on those groups, because I absorb it. I absorb their hurt and their pain, and I can't stand it, because I know that there's alternatives, and that there's not just a few alternatives. There's lots of alternatives. I interviewed a woman for my podcast last week, and she wrote a book on the truth about chronic pain treatments. And in that book, I personally learned about 10 different things that I hadn't heard about before, that I haven't tried. And I thought that was amazing, but no one knows about it. Almost nobody knows about, number one, this book, or all these other things that you can try. So guess what? I am so confident now that if something happens that causes me more pain, Now I've got at least 10 new different things that I've never explored or tried on myself yet that I can go to and I can try to see what works for me and what doesn't work for me to kill that chronic pain. So that just gives me even more hope for my future and my life and knowing that I can have the life that I want. Anyway, back to the 6-week Killerz masterclass. I'm sorry, I get a little carried away. Once a week for 6 weeks, and this will be recorded. So if you're not feeling up to it, you don't have to worry like you have to be on them live. It's just a real benefit if you can get on them live, because we can deal with and take calls or take questions from you to find out exactly what you need more of or less of. And I just named them. You got to have faith, mind over matter, your protocol, decide to thrive, mastermind energy, and brainy senses. And again, it's got everything in it that you need to kill your chronic pain, take back your life, and have your own chronic painkillers protocol or painkillers protocol. Again, I call it a perfect health protocol because I want you to have perfect health. But I use the name interchangeably. Here's Katie Rush's story. After a bad car accident, 49 days in the hospital, and 17 surgeries with no end in sight, I was ready to give up. One of the nurses told me to hang in there. That night, I found painkillers, and within just 8 months, everything has changed for me. Katie's one of those people that it took longer for. Some of it took longer for, but her body had been through a lot of trauma. So in addition to the chronic pain, it had a lot of healing that it needed to do. And each of us are different. It's going to be different for all of us. I wish I could say, hey, your pain's going to be gone in 30 days. Your pain's going to be gone in 6 months. Your pain's going to be gone in 2 weeks. I'm not omnipresent. I can't do that. Only you are in charge of how fast your body can heal itself. And it's actually dependent on how open-minded you are and how many things you're willing to do and try for yourself. Bottom line. That's, I think, why I was able to help myself so fast is I was willing to do freaking anything to get my life back because I didn't like being bedridden. I couldn't stand it anymore. And the pain in and of itself, I couldn't stand that. And so I knew I had to do something. And that's what made me willing and able to do and try the food thing. So who's this for again? If you got chronic pain right now, this is for you. If you don't have chronic pain, but you think you might be one of the increasing number with the 1.5 billion people already, then this is for you. If you know somebody that's got chronic pain and you want to help them to change their life and really get their life back, maybe your significant other or a family member, then this is for you too. Because you can't do it for them, but you can do it with them. My daughter has had chronic pain since she was 15 and fell snowboarding. I got painkillers to help her. It only took a little bit of bribery to get her to use it. Thanks for giving me my daughter back, Alice McDonald. So Alice is an example of somebody who bought it for her loved one, and it helped to get her daughter back. How cool is that? George is actually one of my business coaching students, so I was so excited that he wanted to do this with me. And here's what he had to say. I've had pain as long as I can remember. I was born sick, but I always dreamed of having my own business. Painkillers Protocol made it possible. Thanks, Sharon. George Engel. I love George. I was not sure painkillers would work for me. I've always been a very unique case, according to my doctors. I was super skeptical, but 2 weeks later, I knew I had found the right solution for me. Watch out, world. Kim is back. And Kim is also another business associate of mine from the food business. She actually runs a liquor store, and she fell last year and broke her butt. She broke her tailbone. And we ran her through the Painkillers Protocol, and we had her right as rain. They wanted to put her on all kinds of pain medications and stuff, and we ended up saying no to those. Well, she ended up saying no to those, and we got her healed up and fast. I think it was about a month and a half, I think it took before she could actually get going and walk around again and do her exercises. She's a really fit young woman. Well, I guess she's a little older than me, but I call us young women. Let me ask you a question, and this is a kind of personal question, so don't put it in the comments box. But I want to know, are you in the same spot I was in when I first got sick and got bedridden? Are you putting all of your eggs in the medical profession basket? Are you thinking and believing and feeling and sure and convincing yourself that the medical profession is going to be your solution? They are the one solution for you. Now, if that's the case, you're not alone. There are hundreds of millions of people in that same boat, if not a billion people in that same camp, waiting and hoping and praying and believing that the medical profession is going to cure them and fix them and give them their lives back. I really want you all to read Cindy Perlin's book, because it is so enlightening and so eye-opening and so frightening. And I'm going to probably get some hate mail again for what I'm about to say, but the American Medical Association has brainwashed all of us, kind of like, remember the nicotine and cigarettes and that whole fiasco? The American Medical Association makes that look like child's play. The food industry, you guys, and I was a part of that, that makes the cigarette industry look like child's play. It's not a coincidence that obesity is such a problem in this country. It has been an engineered event. Pretty scary. Now, just because it's an engineered event doesn't mean we individually have to be a part of it. Just like we don't have to be a part of the chronic pain game. We can choose to opt out. I have a thing with my sisters where we have some drama in my family. All families have some drama, right? We have some drama in my family. And I, after my sudden cardiac arrest, took on the position that I choose not to participate. I choose not to participate in the negativity and drama that can happen in a family. And it drives two of my sisters crazy because I choose not to participate. So they'll come to me and they'll try to bring some drama and some nonsense. And I just listen. And then when they ask me for participation, I just say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to participate in this discussion. I'm not going to participate in the negative energy of this. I'm just not going to. I love you all. I'm staying neutral. I'm being myself, and I'm not going to do it. And we can do the same thing with the things that are going on around us that aren't in our best interests. So anyway, what I want to tell you is I'm going to make this the bonus for staying to the end of the little web class. I call it the free Painkillers Energy Shot Challenge. And what it will do is it will help you to create and begin the creation of a chronic pain killing system. Because chances are, if you're putting all of your eggs in the medical profession basket, you don't have a chronic pain killing system at all. You're just counting on the medical industry to fix you. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be the burster of your bubble. It ain't going to happen. They are not going to fix you. They're not. They're not. They're just not. And even if they give you a magic surgery or a magic procedure, your body still has to heal it. Your body has to be the one that fixes you, not your doctor, not your surgeon, not anybody outside of you. So again, what are you going to get? The 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass. That is a $3,997 value. What else are you going to get? What else do you need? Well, the Chronic Painkillers Emergency Prescription. What the heck is painkillers? What are you going to get as a chronic pain sufferer that will help you to kill your chronic pain? This is a part of the program, and I accidentally went by it. I'm sorry. I'm like finger clicking. I'm talking too much, and it makes me move too fast. But what it is it's where it's the part of what we're going to do together, where you're going to actually assemble and put together all of the pieces that you need for your personalized painkillers protocol. Everything you need. And again, yours is going to be different than mine, which is going to be different than everyone in my families, everybody I know, the hundreds of people I've worked with before. No two are alike. I always like to think of them as snowflakes because no two snowflakes are alike. And it's kind of mind-boggling to think that a shape that has 6 sides, but no two of the billions and trillions and gazillions of snowflakes are the same. Just like no two human beings are the same. We haven't had the same experiences. Even if we kind of look alike, we're still totally different individuals. Even, twins or quadruplets or octuplets or whatever are each unique and different human beings. And they might have similar experiences, but how they each experience life is unique and different and special. And so must our painkillers protocol be. With this painkillers protocol, you are going to be able to take back your life. You're going to be able to kill your chronic pain and take chronic pain from being the operating system of your life to just a little app running in the background. You'll be able to rejoin the living and say yes to the things and the events that you used to have to say no to. No more missing out. I like to say there's a saying that's going around now that's this fear of missing out. People don't want to miss out. Well, guess what? We with chronic pain, there's a lot of stuff that we actually miss out on, and we don't want to do that. It's not just being afraid of missing out. We actually miss out, but you don't have to do that anymore if you've got your own painkillers protocol. You can watch your health, your energy, your personal power, your happiness, everything about your life improve. You can get back to your circle of friends and have relationships. Are you still going to have relationship issues? Yeah, probably, because we're all human beings, and even totally healthy, 100% healthy human beings have relationship challenges, right? But you're going to be able to not only live your normal life, but you're going to be able to live the life you want, which, yeah, some of us just want a normal life, but some of us want an extraordinary life. I didn't settle for a normal life. I think I'm living an extraordinary life. And if that's what you want, I want you to have that too. You're going to also be able to give up on a lot of stuff. How about fear of the future? How many of you right now are afraid of the future because you're at a level of pain and you're experiencing pain that you can barely tolerate and you're just barely making it through every day, and your doctors told you that that's what you can expect, only to get worse, and you're thinking, how am I going to handle this? I don't think I can. That is fear of the future. Fear of missing out, just mentioned that, boom. Relationship challenges and issues, yeah, you might still have some of those, but guess what? Chronic pain colors all of our relationships. It colors everything that we do. I'm divorced. I guarantee that chronic pain and chronic illness played part of a role in my relationship, and it just did. Now, it's not a coincidence that I ended my relationship with my husband after my sudden cardiac arrest. It's amazing how when you die and don't die, how many things become really clear that you figured out weren't in your own best interest. Another story. So anyway, all by yourself, you can now know with certainty what is in your best interest to kill your chronic pain and give you back your life, the life that you've always wanted to live, not the one that you thought you had to suck up and live. So what are you going to get? The 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, a $3,997 value. Chronic Painkillers Prescription, a $2,564 value. And I missed the total value, so we don't care because there's more. What else do you need? How about emergency painkillers? Now, I mentioned I came from the corporate world, right? And as a quality manager, one of the things we do that's really important is we do emergency action plans. So I think of emergency painkillers as like the roadside assistance or AAA for your chronic pain. So we've got cheat sheets and emergency action plans for whatever you need and whatever happens in your life. So say, for example, the other day I had a migraine. Well, when I have a migraine, I have an emergency action plan, and that's my little mini steps of what I need to do to nip that in the bud and to kill that migraine. So I used to have daily and days long migraines, and I don't really get migraines much anymore, but every once in a while I'll get a little breakthrough migraine, but I have an emergency action plan for what I need to do, and it's specific to me to nip that in the bud or kill that, or to actually minimize the impact that migraine is going to have on me. Once in a great while, I'll still have a migraine, but it doesn't knock me out for days on end, and it doesn't take me out for days. It might be an hour or two where I have to go through my protocol and do some things, but it doesn't wipe me out and take over my life for extended periods of time like they used to. And we've got that, and you'll create that for each area of your personal life and the things that come up for you. So say, for example, another one I've got breakthrough hip pain, because sometimes my hips give me a hard time. I've got an emergency action plan for my hip pain. I've got one for my ankle pain. I went on a walk for Mother's Day and I tweaked my ankle. So guess what? I pulled out that emergency action plan and I did exactly what I needed to do to take care of that ankle pain. And guess what? It's only a couple days later and my ankle pain is gone. So we've got all those resources, cheat sheets, all the secrets, all the results of the tests and the things that I've tried on myself over the years and with other people, and what's worked. I'm only going to share with you the stuff that works. And I'm also going to let you know the stuff that is a scam and nonsense and doesn't work at all. And I will lead in with, it might work for you, but I'm going to tell you what, the 100 people I know of that have tried this, it didn't work for. So if 100 people have tried it and it hasn't worked for any of them, that leads me to believe that maybe it's not really effective. Maybe it's one of those magic supplements or magic gels that's really just got a pretty smell, but it's all filler and nonsense. Maybe it's one of those supplements that's 98% filler and it really doesn't have any of the active ingredient that they're saying that it does that can help you. Things like that. And much, much more, of course. So really, anything you need to kill your chronic pain and have no life, to experiencing the life of your dreams, you can find the shortcuts in the painkillers. So what are you going to get? 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, a $3,997 value. The Chronic Painkillers Prescription or medicine cabinet or toolbox, whatever you want to call it, a $2,564 value. And the emergency painkillers, a $1,997 value. That is a total value of $8,558. But guess what? There's more. After Tina's story, I always loved cooking and dreamt of teaching other people how to cook, but I could not get out of the house. Fibromyalgia was ruining my life and making me a prisoner in my own body. Emergency painkillers gave me my life back. I now lead cooking classes 3 days a week. Tina Tully. Tina actually has 3 other instructors and has made that a full-time job. And she has managed her pain so well that she actually is out of the house working full-time. And she's also a mom. So, you know, she's back to living her life and actually the life of her dreams, not just what normal barely getting by would be like for her. So what more will help you? What more would help you? What more do you need to say, yeah, I want to kill my chronic pain. Yeah, I want my life back. I've had enough of this crap. Well, how about a ninja? This might be one of my favorite things. I love a ninja. Ever since my kids were little and used to play paintball and things, I have loved ninjas. Maybe it was from the Pokemon card days or something. But Painkillers Assassinations is our ninja. It's your personal painkillers action plans, your step-by-step maps of what works for you. It's and dealing with other organizations is what I'm talking about. It's the exact items you need to get your needs met to kill your chronic pain and transform your life. So it's the processes and the procedures and the systems for getting what you need to kill your chronic pain from insurance providers, doctors and specialists, how to talk to them and interact with them to make sure you're getting your needs met. Pharmaceutical companies, which to me includes pharmacists, because a lot of pharmacists are acting like gods nowadays and saying what you can and cannot have, even though your doctor has prescribed something else. The government, including Social Security and disability, how to interact with your attorney if you happen to have an attorney, where to get an attorney if you want an attorney and need an attorney to help you deal with any of these organizations. Security and knowing that you're not alone in getting your needs met, and how to navigate these waters so that you can have smooth sailing and you can focus on getting your pain under control and killed and still getting your financial and other needs met all simultaneously. Again, I want to just quick make an aside claimer. These things that you learn in the Painkillers Assassinations are really, really powerful. And you can use them to get your needs met, absolutely. But you can also use them to hurt other people or to hurt organizations. And I want to make sure that you know that we're not about that, and that it's all about making the world a better place and you getting what you need to create and contribute to the world in the way you're meant to, not to hurt anybody else. As long as I just want to make sure we're all on the same page of that. And I'm sure we are. If you've listened to me this long, you obviously know that I'm ranting and that I have strong feelings about certain things. So again, what are you going to get? The 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, a $3,997 value. Chronic Painkillers Prescriptions, a $2,564 value. Emergency Painkillers, a $1,997 value. Painkillers Assassinations, a $1,997 value. It's a total value of $10,555. Do you think there's more? Right after Renee's story, there's more. Of course there is. I did not always look this way. Up until a few months ago, I was a depressed and often suicidal chronic pain patient. The last straw was when my doctor of 14 years told me he could no longer prescribe my medications. I was desperate and did not know what to do. A friend from church told me about Painkillers Assassinations. I got my medication back and so much more. For the first time in years, I am happy to be alive. Renee's doctor was like a lot of doctors and a lot of medical professionals right now. They're scared to do their job. They don't want to do the extra paperwork. They don't make enough money to get paid for the extra work that they have to do because of these new DEA and guidelines and government restrictions on what they should and shouldn't do for people. Even though there's no protocol, they're still dictating. The insurance companies are dictating to the doctors, and the DEA, they're all dictating to the doctors how people should be treated. Now, I don't know, but I don't think any DEA people have been trained in chronic pain or dealing with chronic pain. They can't even get drug dealers off the street. How in the heck are they going to tell doctors what to do to help people to survive? Kind of mind-boggling, isn't it? Again, on the side, the last thing you need, what do you need to know? Well, we've got this incredible private community, Chronic Painkillers private community, where those of us that are building our own chronic painkillers protocols or our perfect health protocols get together and interact with one another, ask each other questions, and support and take care of one another. It's a safe place for all of us to interact, all of us that are on a similar journey. Now, I don't know if you can tell or not, but my journey for people with chronic pain is very different than the traditional medical only journey for people with chronic pain. I am not a doctor, and I'm proud of it. I'm not a lawyer, and I am proud of it. It doesn't mean I don't know how to help you kill your chronic pain and take back your life, because I am an expert at that. And I know that you can do it. I know that we can get you back on track. But this community supports and is so powerful. And again, it's only for our private students. And there's nobody that can have access to this group except people that work with us. The Chronic Painkillers community, you get lifetime access when you join us. It's support for you and your journey. It's different than the support groups that just are a sounding board for you to share what's going on in your life that's hurting and what's not working. It's more than that, because we will share that with you and support you in that. But guess what? We're not going to let you stay there. We're going to help you to get out of that situation. We're not going to just commiserate and send you prayers. We're going to help you get out of that and take the next step to whatever it is you need to get your life back, to kill your chronic pain. A lot of these support groups, yeah, they're there. You get heard, but just getting heard, that helps a little, but that isn't even the tip of what needs to be done. Just venting about what's going on in your relationship, just venting about your doctor cutting back your medicine, just venting about a procedure or being scared about something, that is not going to get you what you need to get better. That is not going to get you what you need to get your life back. And the best thing about this group is it makes us know that we're not alone. How many times, I sure have spent a lot of time, have you laid in bed thinking that you were the only one going through what you're going through, that you were all alone and there was no hope and no help for you? I know I spent years feeling that way, and I want to make sure that anybody that gets involved with us knows that they're not alone and that they don't have to feel that way. The Painkillers community has been a real time and lifesaver for me. Even with chronic pain, I've had to work full time to support my family. A recent divorce left me a single mom with no income. The Painkillers community showed me the love and support I needed to get me through some very dark times. Thank you for all the love and questions answered. Michelle Tracy. So what are you going to get? 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, a $3,997 value. Chronic Painkillers Prescriptions, a $2,564 value. Emergency Painkillers, a $1,997 value. Painkillers Assassinations, a $1,997 value. And the Painkillers Private Community, a $997 value. It's a total value of $11,552. If all this did was finally show you exactly how to kill your chronic pain, would it be worth it? If all this did was help you to share your life with more people and stop missing out on things, would it be worth it? If all this did was let you create and live the life you were born to live, would it be worth it? If all this did was give you the ability to create the life you want versus the one you're living now and that you think you've had to settle for, would it be worth it? If all this did was show you how to end your struggle with chronic pain, would it be worth it? I had two choices. The first option was to go cheap as possible and try to sell as many as possible. There wasn't much incentive in that for me to really stack on the value. And the second option requires a little bit higher investment on your part, but in exchange, I can devote more resources to guarantee your success. So what's killing chronic pain and getting your life back worth to you? What's the value of what you're missing out on? What's the cost of your chronic pain? I mean, what's really the cost? The emotional, physical, mental, psychological, and spiritual cost. Have you ever thought about that or figured that out? There's a lot more to what's going on in your life than just the financial cost of chronic pain. And a lot of us can't even afford that or couldn't even afford that. Thank God I had my parents and my dad had good insurance back when I first got sick. Or I don't know where I'd be. I have no idea what would have happened to me or where I'd be. How long can you go on like this? How long can you continue to suffer and struggle with your chronic pain? Me, I would have paid anything to know what was causing my pain and to figure it out and get that magical pill and have it magically disappear, or that magic surgery. But I didn't have any such luck. I was left pretty much high and dry in my 20s. And I had that choice to make. It was either shrivel up and die, because that's really what was going on with me. Or, and like I said, I don't know where it came from, but thank goodness that it did. I could say no, and I could say there's got to be another possibility. And then I went out and found that possibility. And now you can too. You have access to that possibility, and you don't have to go figure it all out yourself. We've got it all ready for you to start and hit the ground running. This one actually cost me $429,450 just in medical bills alone. It's my sudden cardiac arrest from about 7.5, 8 years ago. I guess it's only 7.5 years. But that's just the medical bills. That doesn't include the impact that it had on my life and my relationships. You know, I got divorced. After that. I shut down all of my businesses except the Italian food business after that. My son was going to take over that. I lost a lot. I lost most of my friends and a lot of other things. And that was just one health incident. So I know you guys know what I'm talking about. I know you understand, but people around us don't understand. They don't understand how devastating a health issue is. I mean, some of them understand like a car accident can shut you down and change your life. Well, chronic pain has the same impact on us. It shuts us down. Any kind of illness like this shuts us down and changes the course of our entire life. We can see why people are paying us, and I mean paying me, $25,000 to set up their chronic painkillers protocol with them, their perfect health plan with them. I get $25,000 to work one-on-one with people to set this up for them. But I wanted to make it more affordable so that more people could take advantage of it, because there was just one of me, and I can't really teach other people. It's so personalized. I can't really teach other people to do it for me and charge a bunch of money. I want to be able to actually help a lot more people to make sure they get this in their hands and that they can take their lives back. So you can see why it's a good deal at $5,000. I mean, one radio frequency treatment's at least $15,000. One medical procedure, one prescription. One of my son's prescriptions is a couple grand a month, and he's got, I think, 14 or 15 things that he's got to take to manage his pain right now. So he spends tens of thousands of dollars a month just in prescriptions. Now, luckily we have insurance, so, you know, copay isn't that much, but it's still thousands of dollars, right? So the general price for this for the general public is $2,997 right now today. But because you're here and you've listened to my stories and me rambling, I want to make a really special offer for you. You can get started now for just $997 today by going to www.special.chronicpainkillers.com/go-kill-pain, because I want you to go and kill your pain. So what are you going to get? A quick recap. 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, a $3,997 value. Chronic Painkillers RX, a $2,564 value. Emergency Painkillers, a $1,997 value. The Painkillers Assassinations, my favorite, a $1,997 value. And that's just the rebel in me that likes to fight against the big guys. Painkillers Private Community, a $997 value. Again, that's a total value of $11,552. But I want to make it even a bigger special deal for you. So in addition to the private community, which is separate from this, you'll have access to our private Painkillers Facebook group. Now that is our Facebook group where people that have been exposed to us or invited in by current members can participate. So say you're a chronic pain sufferer and you want your primary caregiver, say it's your mom or your sister, to be a part of the organization in the group so they know what's going on. They can be part of this private painkillers group with you. And that's what that's made up of. Again, it's a major support group and a place to get your questions answered. But the people that actually join us and are creating their own painkillers protocol, they're in the private community too. But this is a group for a little bit broader group. Uh-oh. I had now that you have two choices, and I love that graphic. So I'm sorry I speeded by it. It was a flash in the pan. But now you have two choices. I had two choices. Now you have two choices. You can do nothing. You cannot take this leap of faith, which is 100% risk-free, by the way. Or your second option is to pony up this small investment today compared to all the value you'll get in return and just give it a shot. Now, if I can't help you kill your chronic pain, then I don't want your money. I've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. And for any reason, you can sign up today. And if you don't like it, and I mean for any reason, I don't care if just the timing's not right for you. You've got 29 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes, really 30 days from now to just let me know and we'll give you your money back. I want to make sure that this is a perfect fit for you and that you know that it will help you. The real question is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? which if it does even half of what I claimed it will today on this training, will pay for itself as soon as you take the first stab at killing your chronic pain? That's the real question. So what are you going to get? 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, $3,997 value. Chronic Painkillers Prescription, a $2,564 value. Emergency Painkillers, a $1,997 value. Painkillers Assassinations, a $1,997 value. And the Painkillers Private Community, plus the Facebook group, all for $11,552 value for $997 today. In addition to that, for the first 17 people and only 17 people, I'm going to do a live weekly Q&A, and this will correspond with each of the weekly lessons that we're going to go through in the masterclass. But I only want to have 17 because, number one, it'll get people's specific questions answered. So that's an awesome benefit for you. If you've been told you're a unique case like Kim, guess what? You want to be one of the first 17 people. But I also know that I do it on Zoom, and if we get more than 20 people on the line, it gets really kind of unruly and hard to manage, and everybody doesn't get their needs met. So I want to make sure we keep that a small, intimate group. And that's a bonus for being a fast action taker, for knowing this is for you and you need to kill your chronic pain and get your life back. You want to get back to the things that you always thought you'd do. You want to get back to whatever it is for you, owning your business, being a great grandma, being a good mom, being able to travel, being able to go out to dinner with your friends, whatever it is for you. You want to do the fact it's for you. And so you know already that you also want to be on these calls and get your questions answered. Now, these calls are going to be recorded. So for some reason, you can't get on the call live. And if you're one of the first 17, we're going to go ahead and let you have direct access to me to ask me your questions. So I make sure I answer it on the call and you can listen to the recordings. The recordings will also be in the members area for everybody to take advantage of. But just the first 17 people will be able to be on live and get their questions answered. So if you're currently suffering with chronic pain or chronic illness, then you really need this. If you know someone who's suffering from chronic pain, or who suffers from chronic pain, well, then you need this so that you can help them. If you don't have chronic pain, but you're afraid that you might in the future, or you want to do everything you can to make sure that you never become a chronic pain sufferer and have a perfect health plan, then this is for you too. I have shown you some really powerful things on this little webinar today. Number one, the only way for you to get your life back is through killing your chronic pain. And the only way for you to kill your chronic pain is through painkillers and having your own personalized painkillers protocol. I love this graphic, this chance of success. My dad always taught my sisters and I that there's no such thing as can't. And even at the point that you're saying, I can't, you still have a 10% chance of success. The only time you have no chance of success is if you say, I won't even try. And you're guaranteed to succeed. If you say, I'm doing it, I'm trying, I'm moving forward, you have a 90% chance of success. But when you say, I did it, I created my own painkillers protocol, you have a 100% chance of success. Don't you deserve that? Don't the people that love and care about you deserve to have you back in their lives as you are meant to be in their lives, not as you are right now? I think so. So what are you going to get? 6-week Chronic Painkillers Masterclass, a $3,997 value. Chronic Painkillers Prescriptions, a $2,564 value. Emergency Painkillers, a $1,997 value. Painkillers Assassinations, a $1,997 value. And the Painkillers Private Community, a $997 value. There's a total value of $11,552. And you can get started right now today for just $997. A one-time payment of $997. Less than a doctor visit for most of us pain sufferers, or a couple doctor visits, less than a prescription. It's really, to me it was, a no-brainer. I've spent so much in medical bills in my life that when I see something that will really help me and change my life for under $1,000, I am all over it. So I'm going to stand in line and answer some questions for a little while. When as many questions as you have, go ahead and I will try to post them and answer them here. I'm not sure I can post them, but for sure I can answer them. And if you still have questions, you can always contact me at support@chronicpainkillers.com. I check that every single day and I answer any questions that come in because I don't want you to ever feel like you're hanging and somebody isn't paying attention to you. I do often get a couple of questions that I want to go ahead and address right here, right now. One is, do you have a payment plan? And I want to share with you why I do not have a payment plan. I will say MasterCard and Visa have a payment plan, as well as a PayPal option I'll tell you about in a minute. But the reason I don't offer a payment plan is I know how important this is to you and to your life, and that I've learned over the years being involved with different coaches that people that pay and the ones that pay up front actually pay attention and are 10 times more likely to do something with the information they get and what they're learning than the people that don't pay up front. I've been involved in some really high ticket coaching programs, especially in real estate, where people could pay the whole amount up front, like $50,000 up front, or they could pay monthly. And what happened is that the people that paid monthly, a month would go by and they wouldn't have done anything because life got busy and got in the way. And it was easier to just not do anything and say, I'm only paying a few $1,000s a month. It's no big deal. But those of us that paid the $50,000 up front, guess what? The ex-husband and I, we never entered into any of those coaching programs unless we already knew that we had at least $100,000 worth of deals and money we were going to make in profits by joining that program. If we didn't know, and usually it was 3 or 4 times what we knew, in profit that we were going to make by joining that program, then we wouldn't do it. Our first one we entered was $25,000. The first coaching program we went to was $25,000. And we already had a $36,000 deal lined up before we even went to the training to find out if we wanted to join it or not. And we only wanted one worksheet from that entire program. There was one thing in that program that we knew could double the size of our real estate business, but we had to join the program to get that sheet. So we paid $25,000 for a one-sheet program. But then we stayed with an ancillary part of that organization and went to an even more expensive real estate program. But it all paid off for itself more than tenfold for us. So we were one of those people that took action because we paid in advance. And because we paid in advance, we had more skin in the game and we knew we had to make it work for us. And that's kind of my philosophy with this. And I'm sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings. But if you know how powerful this is, if you know that you can get your life back and you can knock your chronic pain out of being the only thing that you can think about or deal with, if you know you can change that, you can find the $1,000. And one of the ways you can do that is actually through PayPal Credit. PayPal Credit offers a program only in the United States, but it's only available in the United States right now, where you can, for 6 months, have no payments and no interest. So you can get started today. Right now, you can be one of those first 17 people because it's obviously over $99 if your credit gets approved by PayPal Credit and you are ready to go and you're in the United States. Again, you can get started right now by going to special.chronicpainkillers.com/go-kill-pain. Forgot to put go kill pain on the slide. I'm going to have to fix that. Not perfect, right? So you can get started now. I want to thank you for joining us today. Here is that bonus link for anybody that wants to go ahead and get started with the Painkillers Energy Shot, the challenge sign up. Anybody that joins the Painkillers program today, this is automatically part of that, so you don't have to go ahead and sign up separately. But anybody else, go ahead. Thank you so much for joining me. I just wanted you to know that there's hope, that there are alternatives for you whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, we'll be here. Now, you might have to pay $2,997 or more for it, but we'll be here for you to help you kill your chronic pain and take back your life. And so if you're not ready today, no problem. Go get started with the Painkillers Energy Shot, and we will see you on the inside. Don't delay. Start your new life today. Again, get started now at special.chronicpainkillers.com/go-kill-pain. Again, special.chronicpainkillers.com/go-kill-pain. I'm so excited to see you inside because I know what you're here to do and how you can change the world. Bye, everybody. Thank you. See if I kept the live going. Yay, success. I'm like super stoked, you guys. I actually got the technology to work and you can see my smiling face again. Now, I don't know. I'll have to check on the replay to see if you could see me through the whole time, but let me check the comments here. I might have to break out my magnifying glass. I'm actually going to have to break out my magnifying glass. Comments from Facebook Live post appear on Be Live. I see. Hello, Anthony. Anthony, thank you for joining me today. I hope we had sound through the whole thing. Yesterday, for some reason, I shared this amazing thing with people, and I don't know, but at about the halfway point, somehow the PowerPoint was there and you could see me and you could see my lips moving because I was in a little corner of the screen, but there was no sound. I still don't know what happened. it looks like I still have sound today, but for some reason, the sound fell off and half the presentation was gone. So I told myself, guess what? I'm doing it tomorrow, and I will do it every day until I get the word out that people know that there's something available for them so that you can kill your chronic pain. I want you to have the energy I have. I want you to be out living the life you deserve and making the world a better place, because that's why we're all here. We're here to experience life as only we uniquely can and to make the world a better place. That's my belief. Might not be yours, but I know it to be true. And I'll tell you what, if you're experiencing chronic pain, it ain't happening, because when we're experiencing chronic pain, that's all we can do is survive our days. And I know that there's something else out there for you, and I want to be a part of that. So go ahead and join us today. I will put the link in the comments below, and I want to thank you for joining us. Have an awesome day, and I will see you again soon. Or I'll see you on the inside. Bye.